Sting to start it, or are we just jumping straight in? A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Calder Park on the outer west northwestern suburbs, right near the Tullamarine Airport here for the final round of the 888 Home Loans Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships this weekend. Brought to you by Trico windscreen wipers. Make sure you have nothing but the best. Trico, seeing the way. Got a fantastic program rolling out for the final round. Some of our main protagonists right across this season. We started off at Sandown. We went to Winton Raceway up near Benalla in country Victoria. Then to Phillip Island for round 3. Sandown for round 4. Our last round 5 at Phillip Island. And of course we are here at Calder Park. Nice and close to home, pretty much for everyone that's from Melbourne, if you're from Melbourne. And racing, of course, we've got competitors that have actually travelled from all over the country, as they do, to the fantastic Victorian State Race Series all year long. Round 6, Calder Park Raceway. The first category on track will be the Porsche 944s, the garagistic BMW E30s. Next, the Hino improved production cars. Formula V after that, Hyundai XLs. The big banger sports sedans for Groove Train Eastland on track. Saloon cars, MG and invited British cars. And for everyone that remembers Calder, the HQs will be out on track as well. Just to remind everyone that there's been a very, very steeped history at this magnificent facility here in the outer suburbs of Melbourne. I'm Darren Smith. Right alongside me is Matt Dunlop. Been across the Victorian series for many years now. Matt, nice to come to the end of the season, isn't it, in the 888 Home Loans Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships?
Oh, it's not nice to wrap up a season, but it is nice to be here at Calder Park, I think. This is one of my favourite facilities. I've been itching to get here for years and years and years. Finally had the chance last year when we had our first outing here for the State Series in quite some time. Was lucky enough to be on a camera for that weekend, but now I'm in the commentary box for the first time here at Calder, and I'm very, very excited for it. Look at that weather. It is glorious today. Just a smidge under 18 degrees. It's going to get a bit warmer today. You cannot see a cloud anywhere in the sky. Barely a gust of wind blowing compared to the gale force winds that we had this time last year, you might remember.
We did have, yes. It was very windy. Well, Calder can be like that. It can be 42 degrees and windy, or it can be 3 degrees and windy. There's not much in between here. We're on the flat plains out to the northwest of Melbourne. Melbourne Airport sort of just over our shoulders here. In fact, we're under one of the flight paths. And we have got the 944s rolling out on to track now. We've got a fantastic guest commentator going to join Matty Dunlop. That's Joey Callock. You may know him from the 1-800 Lasagna machine. He is going to be on board for all the expert comments over our Porsche 944 racing this weekend. So it's over to you, boys. Have a good call.
Thank you very much, Darren. Get out there, enjoy some of this sunlight, enjoy some of this racing. We'll see you back in the commentary box later on. Folks, strap yourselves in for race 1 of the 944 Challenge here at Calder Park. Again, this is round 6 of the Victorian State Circuit Race Championships. The final round of the season, as Darren Smith touched on, brought to you by Trico and 888 Home Loans, of course, who have been by our side for a long, long time. We can't thank them enough for their support. My name is Matt Dunlop, and joining me alongside in the commentary box for his first time is Mr. Lasagna himself, Joey Kellett. Welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Matt. I'm very, very excited.
It's so good to have you in the box here, Joey. A former racer yourself, you do try to get out in the car.
Sorry, let me interrupt you there, mate. Not former, still very much current.
Still very much current, I should say. It's easy for me to say former when he's not in the car with all these drivers out on the track right now. They're currently getting around here right now, warming, getting a last minute bit of temperature into their tyres. Let's have a look at the grid as they line up. Qualifying was a rapid affair with the top 6 cars under the race lap record here, so we can't wait to see how much pace translates out on the track. So, pole position is Jamie Westaway with a 106.48. Lining up next to him is Cameron Bella, who's pining for the championship here, trying to be the first person to win 5 Porsche 944 championships. Behind them on the second row, it's Mark Verdino lining up alongside Adam Brewer, with Chris Lewis-Williams, our current championship leader, by only 3 points, lining up in 5th. So he is going to have a lot of work to do to get himself up the further into the grid. Next to him, we've got Carter Fox, who has improved dramatically since his last outing in that number 7 machine.
Year.
He certainly has. He's been saying it's been a bit of a development year for him, getting used to that car after an engine rebuild. So he's shaping up to have a massive season next year, but judging by the pace in qualifying, he's already looking good in that number 7 machine. Behind them, we've got Peter Grant in the number 84, with Andrew Jackman in the number 20 in 8th position. Rounding out the 5th row, we have Nicholas Carpenter and Jack Atley. And behind them, Mark Torbitz. He didn't have a fantastic qualifying, with Richard Howe alongside him for this 13-minute plus 1 lap race.
Now, Matt, sadly, it looks like Atley hasn't actually made the start. Just looking out the window to the left, I think he's still stuck on the dummy grid, unfortunately. So
you're right. I can't see Jack Atley, so it is going to be an 11-car starting grid for this race. We'll see if he does start from the pit lane, but there's no sign of that number 35, which is a shame, but we're still going to have plenty of fantastic action from these 11 machines. The 5-second board goes out. The red lights will come on very, very shortly as we get set for a thrilling drag race. Down to turn 1, we're underway here at Calder Park. It's a pretty even start from the front, but it looks like Jamie Westaway's got a lot more grip on his side of the road. Gets a jump. They're 3 wide behind him, as it is Bella getting swamped on both sides by Brewer and Verdino. Brewer has got a lot of pace, and he's made his way up into second. He's almost trying to have a look around the outside of Westaway, and he's punted him before they've even reached the first corner of the action. Adam Brewer has punted right up the boot lid of the number 28 of Westaway, sent him straight into the gravel trap. That is massive, absolutely massive. There'll have to be yellow flags. Most likely a safety car will be coming out as well, because I don't know if that car's going anywhere. The racing will still continue, so let's see how they continue as they cross over top of James Hill. It is Mark Verdino who has taken the lead, with the number 3 of Adam Brewer a little bit shaken behind him, but we've got a safety car. Yellow flags are out, and race has been neutralised. Wow. Don't think any of us saw that coming, Joey.
I was not expecting that. That was a big shunt there. Huge hit in the rear. Damage, obviously, to Brewer's car right there. I think he's outbraked himself and sent Jamie Westaway into a far-off galaxy.
What a shame for Jamie Westaway. He's had a bit of a torrid run with the last race at Phillip Island as well, having a clutch line failure that sent him out of the race when he was in the lead. We see the safety car there just pulling out of the drag strip to pick up the field as they come across here. What a shame for the number 28.
I tell you, Ads Brewer will not be happy with himself. He'll be really disappointed. These guys love to run close but fair. And it's a real shame.
Yeah, it's hard to see exactly, what may have caused that or anything like that. We're just seeing as the number 3 rolls past a little bit of the damage that car has to its front fiberglass piece there on the bumper. We'll see if we can get a bit of a closer look at that as they pass through the next camera.
It looks like the panel is just lost from the top, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of actual serious bumper damage, which is surprising considering how hard they hit.
Yeah, it looked to be a pretty substantial impact, unless it was maybe exacerbated by the fact, would they be under the brakes at that point, Joey? Because that may have destabilised the number 28 a little bit.
Yeah,
if he was already on the anchors and gets touched from behind, he's got no way of putting the car back in line.
Yeah, good point. There was definitely a lock-up, so they were definitely on the brakes. What was interesting was we might see a replay here in a sec, is Westaway just not really slowing for that whole sort of spinning time. He went a long way into the dirt.
Yeah, so let's take a look. Adam Brewer, you can see that black car on the right-hand side of your screen with the orange stripe. Got a lot of a run around the outside, made his way up into second, and as Jamie Westaway got into the braking zone, Adam, it's obviously so hard to see what's going on when you're looking from that front-on angle with a contact like that. But yeah, you're right. He carried so much momentum, made it all the way out the other side of the gravel.
Yeah. I didn't see any brakes. I think that that Adam was just trying to make the switch onto the inside, maybe just misjudged how close he was. And I would say that Jamie's probably got on the anchors just as he's making the switch and he's clipped him.
It's certainly unfortunate. We can only imagine that Adam Brewer in the number 3 is going to be spending a lot of time thinking about what happened there and probably beating himself up for it quite a bit. But with the safety car still out on track at the moment, there's still going to be a bit of cleanup. But if they're going to be getting this race up underway, then Adam's going to need to put that in the back of his mind and focus on the job at hand, which is finishing this race in second position at the moment, right behind Mark Verdino. He's a very, very strong shot for a win here on the track. But at the moment, as you can see, the lights are still on that safety car. That number 28 was quite well marooned, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's a little bit of debris that needs to be tidied up on the racing line too, on the run in.
Yeah, 100%. Westaway was actually a technical chance for championship victory. Very unlikely, but if everything went his way this weekend, that would involve some people dropping out in those top spots, but I can't see that happening for him now.
No, I think that's championship done and dusted for Jamie Westaway, but it's a good chance to look at the standings as they are at the moment, because Chris Lewis-Williams, as we mentioned on the starting grid, is leading the point standings, but only by 3 points over Cameron Bella. To give you an idea of how close that is, there's 100 points to be paid for the winner of all 3 races combined this weekend. So there's a lot happening, and there's a lot of moving and shaking to happen, but that's just the battle for first and second. So that's Cameron Bella, who's 3 points behind in second. Adam Brewer in that number 3 there that you can see is behind, a further 20 points behind in third place, with Mark Verdino, the current leader of this race, in fourth position.
That's where it gets interesting.
47 points behind, so he is still win with a shout depending on what happens to those other competitors.
And let's not forget, Verdino has his one and only race victory here, and he is definitely in the equations for a victory if things go his way. It's so tight, the top 4. This is getting really interesting and exciting.
The competition's just been incredible in this 944 category recently, as we see the safety car lights have gone out and is peeling away from the field. So Mark Verdino is getting into game mode now as the whole field backs up behind him. Adam Brewer is all over him, as is Cameron Bella in that cyan number 55, which we've seen dominating the front of these fields for so many years. We cannot wait to see how this one turns out.
I am giddy with excitement for this restart.
Verdino has control of the field. He's put the foot down. The green flags are waving.
Gap.
He's already got a gap. Look at Cameron Bella in number 55. You'll see as they fly past his camera shot, he was playing Morse code on the back bumper of the number 3 as they exited the final corner there. But Brewer's made a little bit of a gap. Let's see how they fan out as they run down the main straight. They're not as tightly close together as they were on the initial start. Adam Brewer is all over Mark Verdino. Verdino is very, very defensive, jumps on the anchors, and he gets the whole shot into turn 1.
I wonder how the damage in the front of Brewer's car is going to have any, if any, effect at all on his straight line speed down the back of the straight there with the aero damage.
I was just thinking the same thing, actually, because it's hard to see exactly what sort of chip has been taken out of that car, but you have to imagine it has to at least have some sort of impact. But this, if he's going to be able to make that up anywhere, it's this section of the track here as they all bounce through the flip-flop through to turns number 4 and 5. Down this short little, this back straight, this, I guess, short shoot, if you will. They're on the brakes here. Not a whole lot of moving getting done, but Verdino's
gone very wide.
Very wide there. So that's brought that field all the way up again. It's a 4-car battle for the lead. Look who's there in 4th. It's none other than Chris Lewis-Williams. He's looking to capitalise.
I think I silently commentator cursed Verdino then, because I was just about to say what a big gap he'd pulled out, and then he went wide. So I'll take responsibility for that one.
Oh, that's all right. We won't strike it up as a commentator's curse yet until you actually say the words. But look at Brewer. He's got the slipstream as they run past the stripe for the second time in anger. Goes all the way to the outside. Verdino is going to try and park that car on the inside like a truck. Look at Brewer. He's just so sketchy under brakes there.
Big wiggle.
Lots of wiggling there, just not super stable. He gets it pulled up, but Verdino has the pace, he has the stability, and he's going to hold the lead through turn 1 as they cross the line. There's not much time left to go in this race, only 3 minutes and some GST, so this is a very, very short sprint. If they're going to get any passes done, they have to get them done as soon as they can, Joey.
Hey, let's talk about Peter Grant in 4th or 5th.
Fifth position. Great run from the number
him.
84.
Wow.
He started all the way down in 7th position.
Incredible.
And he's doing fantastic up there in 4th, so he might even be able to tack onto this lead pack as well and make some moves happen, maybe even challenge for the podium, as we see Chris Lewis-Williams trying to do exactly that. He is not leaving Cameron Bella alone in that number 55 machine, playing a bit of Morse code on his rear bumper.
These guys are real tight at the front here. This is excellent racing.
And they have been all season. The 944s have been brilliant for it. They've always just been so close. This whole battle for the lead in every single race, and it's reflected in those championship standings that we talked about as they cross the line. Let's take stock of where they're up to. So it is Verdino who leads, with Brewer behind for the time being. Peter Grant, fastest lap of the race with a 109.10. That's incredible pace.
So Verdino is definitely gapping them on the back side of the track, which is really interesting to watch. But the next 3 guys are catching him on the straight. It's it's really interesting to see the sort of a Constantina effect that's happening here.
They'd almost have the benefit of a little bit of a slipstream train as Bella gets a couple of wheels in the dirt over the top of James Hill. He's not going to be too happy about the pace that he's losing from that. So Adam Brewer in the number 3 has a little bit of space behind him now, but he's not going to be wanting to count his lucky stars too much yet. Wow. Obviously, there's not much left to go in this race, but any gap can be evaporated in a matter of corners, as we've seen. Bit of tyre squeal as everyone goes through.
Heard that.
There's I think someone actually may have spun around as we just see Calder Fox starting across the grass in the background of the shot there. And we're just looking at the window. We can see it is the number 84 of PJ Grant, who just got a little bit beached. So he's going to plummet all the way to the back of the field. What a shame for PJ Grant. But he still have his fastest lap on the board for now. Although that has already been bested, I believe, by Mark Verdino with a 108.06.
Who again has pulled a little bit of a gap from the backside of the course there. So he's really owning this race, let's say that. He's doing a great job.
He's got a couple of car lengths up his sleeve as he comes into turn 1 as well, so that's coming in very handy for him. He's not needing to stress about defending from that number 3 of Adam Brewer behind him, so he can focus on his lines and keeping his lap times up. So he's in a really comfy spot now, but there's no such thing as a comfy spot when the paddle for second is this close and there's not very long to go in the race.
Oh, very wide there coming out of the chicane from Verdino.
Jeez, it's so fun watching the cars launch through the flip-flop there, getting a little bit of air off the curbs. Cameron Bella's smelling blood in the water.
He's really
all over the back. You can see
he's had enough.
That front fascia panel on the number 3 is just missing. That's what's happened to it. It's gone. So that whole front end of the car is going to be just eating air, and that's going to be really cutting into his drag.
It's like driving a parachute.
100%. So he's probably going to be losing a bit of space down the straight there, but I think Bella's going to have a bit of different momentum. Different lines on the exit of the final corner there. Can Bella take that to his advantage and try to get a bit of a toe off the number 3 as they make the run down to the line?
Bella's going to want... As Brewer is pulling away down the straight. He's got so much straight line speed today, it seems.
But look at Mark Verdino. He's got even more. Another 108, this time a 446. So he's not in danger at the moment of being passed. A little bit of a lunge there. Cameron Bella had to make a bit of a move up the inside to just hold that place off from Chris Lewis-Williams. This is such a ferocious battle. And that number 55 car, they were up until midnight last night, rebuilding that engine from the head up because they had to tear it down to the block and redo it. So to even have that car out on track is a miracle in itself. To have it this fast, battling for 3rd, even 2nd with Adam Brewer, is another miraculous event entirely.
I think Cameron Bella was just flashing his lights while he had 2 wheels on the grass out of the chicane there. Incredible multitasking.
If anyone knows their way around a Porsche 944, it's that man in the number 55, Cameron Bella, 4-time champion, pining for a 5th title, and he's only 3 points off the lead of Chris Lewis-Williams.
Is this last lap? Or?
We're not sure at this stage. We've got the last lap board is out now as the drivers cross the stripe, so there'll be one more tour around Calder Park now. It is Verdino who still leads ahead of Adam Brewer. The gap at the front is just about 1 second now. That gap is slowly being eked out, and we've got a 107 for the first time this race. It's a 107.795. To give you a bit of reference, the lap record around here is a 107.4, and the drivers were very quick in qualifying. About half the field was faster than that in qualifying, and they're getting very close to that pace in race conditions as well. As they cross the hill into James Hill now, it is Verdino who does still lead, and they're starting to thin out just a little bit at the front.
Yeah, a bit of a spread there in that top 4 now.
It certainly is, and I think this is going to play into the hands of Cameron Bella, because even though he's not at the front of this field, he is in front of Chris Lewis-Williams, so that is going to play into his championship hopes as the rest of this weekend progresses. We'll keep you updated on that as we get into the latter stages of this one tomorrow. We've got 2 more races of this coming up, but we're not even done with race 1 here yet, folks. Don't go anywhere. 1 corner left to go. Can Cameron Bella get a run out of the final bend to make a move on Adam Brewer before the stripe? I don't think it's going to happen. They're certainly not going to touch Mark Fedino in the number 44, who's going to take the checkered flag and win race 1 here at Calder Park. Adam Brewer will cross the stripe in second, with Cameron Bella behind him in third. Chris Lewis-Williams rounding out the field in fourth. Carter Fox, that's a great performance in 5th position as we look at Richard Howe, who didn't have any practice on Friday, had a torrid run in qualifying as well, wasn't able to get a lap in, and he's not where we like to see him in the number 8 car, because speaking of drivers who have been around the traps for decades and decades, Richard Howe probably knows this place like the back of his hand.
More like a millennia.
Yeah. So it's great to see him finishing the race here. And that is the end of the race 1 of the Porsche 944s here. To give you the rest of those finishing positions, Nicholas Carpenter in P6 ahead of Andrew Jackman in 7th. Mark Torbert's recovered up to 8th. With Peter Grant ended up finishing in 9th after that spin we saw earlier. Richard Howe in 10th. And of course DNF for Jamie Westerway, and a non-starter was Jack Atley, unfortunately. So 10 finishes. You can see them there on the screen. Mark Fedino was your fastest lap getter. How did you find your first race from this perspective, Joey?
It was really exciting. I mean, I was, that was awesome. I tell you what, I'd rather be out there racing, but if there was going to be one round that I'm going to be here in the box, it's this championship decider at Calder Park. That was a lot of fun. And what a weird race, but really, really intense and really cool.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And it was fantastic having you in the box here, Joey. We'll be back with more Porsche 944 action tomorrow morning at 9:10. But before then, we've got a whole afternoon of racing action here to go on Saturday, with BMW E30s up next here. Don't go anywhere. That's going to be another cracker. We'll see you just after these messages.
Welcome back trackside here at Calder Raceway. Great to be back at Calder. We've just been chatting off air with the history of drag racing and the Thunderdome, all the fun that we had at the Thunderdome over there, with standing out on the pit lane with cars going past at 290 miles an hour, and the Americans came out here, and all of the passes that have been down this drag strip in front of us. And well, my next commentator, her fond memories are of the drag strip here at Calder Park Raceway. Emma Dean, you've just been telling us 23 years, and it was for the drags, and it was fully sick, mate, because the turbos were blowing up.
Yeah, I learnt some Greek down here. No, I think it was up at the start of the straight, Darren, that I found out I wasn't a drifter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
That's where I discovered I was not meant for drifting. And it was the end of turn, it was the end of the straight, turn 1, where I discovered I liked my life. In a 911 RSCS with Dominic Beninka. So, yeah, this track, I haven't been here for about 23 years. I'd love to say it's changed, but it hasn't, which I'm actually really happy about. I think there's some ripples up there just before you come onto the main straight that haven't changed either, that knocked me off in some drifting.
There's some ripple strips up there that I think one day they will be ripple strips because they'll wear down. Currently they're more like a BMX berm. You hit them and you put your strut
Yeah,
down.
I should say unofficial ripple strips. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well, they keep you from hitting the wall, don't they? They throw you back onto the track. And I do like in your opening remarks dropping names like Dominic Braninka and RSCS 911s. That's
what a start.
Absolute royalty there. GTP era of just prior to Nations Cup, and Dom won the championship in that black Porsche.
He did, and the other person that gave me an opportunity down here was Mark Coffey.
Oh, well, there you go, prancing horse.
Yeah, in a prancing horse, so didn't last long, though.
Is that where you liked your life at turn 1? Is that the reference
No,
point?
that was in the RSCS.
Of course.
Yeah,
Dom.
that thing stops on a 20-cent piece, as I discovered in the moment.
Hey, on a personal note, Em, how have you enjoyed the 2024 888 Home Loans Trico season?
Immensely. I've actually loved getting to know the Saloon guys. That's been an absolute joy, and the E30 guys. But I just love being in the pits. I love being garage side Darren and having a chat with the guys. Seeing even today Andrew McSwain at the end of qualifying, he's lost third gear, and he's had to have a new gearbox brought in from Kyneton, and they're popping it in before the race. Like, this for me is racing.
It is. It's actually lucky. Kyneton's probably better than, say, coming from Clayton or Dandenong.
Well, yeah.
It's just straight down the freeway to 110 all the way from Kyneton to get here. So if you are watching on the fantastic coverage of Blendline TV, bring us. And you are anywhere in Victoria, I'm going to say, even Adelaide and southern New South Wales, get in the car and come to Calder. If you've been here and you're a kid or a teenager, you must have been a very young child 23 years ago and when you came here. But
I knew I liked you, Darren.
certainly get down to the racetrack. We'd love to see you all. It is the last round of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships, and we do have a couple of great sponsors that have jumped on. Of course, 888 Home Loans, and with this, we keep hearing in the media the cost of living crisis that we're having. If you want to get the heartbeat of your home loan checked out and to make sure you're getting the best deal, give the crew at 888 Home Loans a call and ask them to give you a health check on your home loan. It is absolutely well worthwhile. Let them know that you heard all about 888 Home Loans at the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. They've been our partners for a good couple of seasons now. Cam McKinnon sadly hasn't got his Datsun here racing in the sports sedans. He's too busy looking after his customers with home loans, so he's a racer as well and understands the demands of going racing and of course high level finance as far as home loans and that sort of thing are concerned. And of course Trico, the best windshield wipers you can get, jumped on board with our last round at Phillip Island, jumped on board again here. And the team from Trico are going to be joining us in Trade Alley tomorrow. Of course, the crew down there from Bollard's Direct and the Sheds Direct as well, down there in Trade Alley. If you need bollards to protect your assets, businesses, your security, that sort of thing, check that out. Or if you need a shed, doesn't matter how big or small, just head down and check it out. Behind the salubriously positioned just behind the toilet block there. So at some stage during the weekend, you're going to have to find your way there. Check out our partners that are doing it down there. But it's a massive big thank you to Trico for jumping on board for this broadcast. But as I said, if you come from anywhere within, I'm going to say 800 kilometres, because then it's about an 8 or 9 or 10 hour drive to get here overnight, straight into the paddock area here at Calder Park and see the final round of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. We're waiting for the BMW E30s, the Garagistic BMW Drivers' Cup. Garagistic have been on board with the BMWs for quite some time now and do a tremendous job looking after their guys in the BMWs. And of course, Garagistic, based in California, and are the manufacturer of BMW Performance Pass, specialising in E30s. So you'd have a bit of work because the E30s aren't a new BMW anymore, are they?
I remember when they came out, Darren.
I remember doing pre-deliveries on them.
Yeah, and I remember loving the opal green. I think Brian Burke's E30 is the opal green, which that was my favourite colour at the time.
I'm pretty sure that's called spearmint.
Is it spearmint?
I think that's spearmint.
Okay.
Mine was bronzed beige.
What?
Bronzed beige. Yeah.
Well done.
Not beige, because that's beige, but with bronze and metallic in it. It's like a boat from the 70s, that metallic comes through it. Yeah. Anyway, the cars are rolling out on track now, and we are getting set to go for their first race for the weekend. Been a bit of a torrid year for, I'm going to say, both the 944s and the E30s. The level of competition has certainly stepped up. Jesse Bryant took out last year's series, and we've seen Jesse, one or two guest roles driving for Chas Mostert in his method racing outfit this year, but nothing much in the second half of this season. But certainly he's left the E30s, and the E30s have gone on from strength to strength. Royce Lyon has been fantastic right throughout this year to watch him coming on board. Of course, he's had his trip up to Mount Panorama in the Toyota 86s, and fantastic to see that young star making his way in the sport. So he will be out of pole position on position number 1, car number 4. Goose Rogers out of position number 2.
Yeah, and then we've got Benjamin Munro in position number 3, Kyle Boyd in position 4, Brett Stevens in 5th, Shannon Cooper in 6th, Brian Burke in 7th. Geez, he didn't have a fantastic weekend at PI last round, did he, Darren?
He's had a bit of a tough time at PI this year, Brian Burke, sadly.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. But hey, the sun gods are out today. When the weather is nothing like it was at PI. That was shocking. So hopefully the weather's with Brian today. Alex Jory in 8th, Rory Plant in 9th, Paul Schiff in 10th, Zachary Dunn in 11th, and Martin Taylor rounding out the field in 12th today, Darren.
Interestingly enough, that 4th row of the grid is going to be one to watch. Of course, Brian Burke, the number 27, and the number 22 of Alex Jory. Those guys, I would suggest, have just had a bad run today. Both of them would normally slot nicely into the first 2 rows of the grid. I guess the good thing about that is that Kyle Boyd and Ben Munro, both brand new to the game in E30s this season, are on the 2nd row. And you'd have to say the ascendancy in E30 sort of sits with those 2 protagonists. So front row of the grid, 2 very experienced E30 racers, and I would suggest this is going to be where it's going to be on for, as we have got the 5-second board go up. Wait for the red lights to come on. Look, but don't stare. React. Wow, that was a quick start, and Ash Rogers gets away beautifully. He grabs 2nd gear, a good car length before Royce did, but he starts to get the straight line handling wound up as well, and the 2 BMW E30s go side by side down into turn 1, riding the bumps, and it's going to be the young fella in car number 4. Leads them down into turn 1. Threshold of braking. Apex is late, as does Ash Rogers, sweeping the field round, and they all line up in behind. Shannon Cooper, a ripping start out of position number 6 there. That's a good starting position for Shannon to get through there as well. Brett Stevens has got away nicely, puts 2 wheels out over the back of the ripple strip. That will harm his straight line speed out over this magnificent chicane. I remember when that wasn't there, but they come out there now, slows their terminal speed, 2 wheels out in the dirt, and all that good work that had been done by Ross Plant just gets undone as he gets all sorts of sideways. There's Burke into the S's, holds Kyle Boyd back there, and the green-eyed monster, the number 27, sweeps through. Oh, they're just giving each other just enough room to get through there.
Oh, I've got to say, Darren, I'm happy that it was an incident-free first lap. That could have been anything happening there at the end of the straight to start the race. That can be really, really spicy down there.
Talking about spicy, there's the orange car down into turn 1. And this is going side by side here. The 22, good start by Alex Jory, but Brian Burke gone with him. And the 46 coming right along there, Kyle Boyd, who started on the 2nd row, has just been relegated back. But Alex Jory's going wide there. He'll use the flow of the car. Brian just eases over to the apex, opens it up. So nice racing between these 2, but I tell you what, they don't want to leave it the door open, because Kyle Boyd has dropped a couple of spots and he wants to fight right back from that. Burke now in the 27. Alex Jory looks to the wide run there. Good look here. Green-eyed monster. That's a new addition to the number 27. Bright green headlight stands out in this magnificent sun, bathed here at Calder Park today.
Again, Darren, I'm actually really happy, given what we just saw in the 944s, that it's been a clean race so far. The end of this straight can really catch you out. You get a really good speed up, and then you've really got to hit the anchors. And in these cars, as you said, their age is a factor. It can be pretty hard to stop these things to get round turn 1.
And look, it could be a downhill giant slalom too in the Winter Olympics here, the way the bumps start to sneak up on you. Down the inside now, Alex Jory gets it in there, puts the nose in. Will drive away with it. He's covering a lot less real estate than Brian Burke. Burke goes just over to the ripple strip. And I tell you what, Kyle Boyd is getting a fantastic lesson by these 2 experienced E30 racers in the Garagistic Series right in front of him, just showing what they can do. As 2 laps now completed, Royce leads the way to Ash Goose Rogers, and it's Ben Munro. Newcomer to the game this season, that it's Brett Stevens. Where's Shannon Cooper ended up? He's gone back to 9th, but this battle is absolutely lighting up our screens right now. It's Burke, Jory and Boyd, covered by 0.8 of a second. In fact, really, it doesn't matter what they're covered by. They're line astern with each other. Now, who has got the straight line handling? Who's got the better run onto the straight? I'd say Jory has, because he's flowed the car nice and smoothly out wide. Can be a bit of a tough old corner on the top of the straight there. They've cleaned the circuit up substantially, but it just, the car wants to push right out to the wall. So we get a good look down the straight. Brian looking to the inside there. Brian Burke not being able to take it, but Boyd puts his nose in.
Alex struggling for grip, or maybe just feeling the pressure out there from Brian Burke. Darren?
Yeah, Alex is just positioning his car differently on the track there, and I appreciate what he's trying to do there. He's trying to show Brian Boyd, yeah, show your nose there, but the nose I'm letting you show is the long way around. So a nice strategy being employed by the 22. He opens up the inside to the right-hander at the bottom of the back straight.
Oh.
Burke stuffs it in there. He opens up just a little bit too wide, puts him back on the inside, but Burke will sweep around on that very long triple apex right-hander onto the straight. Triple apex in some cars, double in others. I think Sports Sedans, it's a double apex. And looking to the inside now is Kyle. He's having a good look. Boyd looks to the inside, draws alongside Jory. In fact, no, he doesn't. But Brian Burke now has got probably out of these three the biggest gap in front since we started this race. Just moving around on his tyres there, making sure he can position the car, but Brian Burke is a wily competitor. Up the inside now, nice look at it, the 46. Alex Jory shuts the door and says, righto, go around the long way. Ooh, this is going to get tricky. Again, Kyle has to capitulate. There's only one line through there. Having said that, what time are the Saloon cars on? They're on at 3:25. They'll find a way of getting two cars through there. Side by side. Now Kyle goes through. So Boyd gets one back on Alex Jory. The 55 has lost 2 spots within a lap. So he's gone back a couple of spots there. And that is not what Alex Jory normally does. Royce still leading, 4.7 seconds away to Ben Munro. And that's another 1.5 seconds further back. Ash Rogers, 4 seconds further back. And then we've got this group battling away now. Down the main straight, the 54 of Schiff. Looking to the inside of Zach Dunn and Shannon Cooper just in front of them. That's Shannon in the blue car. Car number 90, under brakes. Schiff. Love this tribute livery here. It's like a bit of Tony Longhurst out there, isn't it?
I actually like all the liveries on them, Darren. The E30s just lend themselves to having really cool retro liveries and tributes.
Up over Jane Hill now, aptly named after the circuit owner for many, many years, still in the realm of the Jane family. But Bob was certainly the benefactor to Australian motorsport that kept this place developing for a long time. It's had a hiatus of a couple of decades, but the gates are open again now. And the Victorian motorsport community can't wait to come and support what they're trying to do here and get this track back up and running. And it's fantastic. The Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships throw a round on here, and round 6 will see the end of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championship season. Down the straight again, this is Burke. And Boyd up the inside, holds on nicely, so gets one on the veteran. And he tries the switchback. He's going to run up tight to Jane Hill. That's going to harm his speed up over the rise here. It's a real steep rise up there. It's almost like coming out of the cutting at Bathurst. Not quite as steep and certainly not flows like it does at Bathurst. You're really, some cars back to first gear to get out of that, up that hill.
You know, going back to what you were saying, Darren, about the Calder coming back to being a used racing circuit, I actually don't. You're probably going to think I'm mad, but I don't think they need to do much. I like how it is. They should maintain the retro feel. It's absolutely beautiful.
Well, it does feel retro, if that's
Well,
the way you want
retro.
to describe it. It is, yeah.
They just need to redo it retro. But
Have a look at
I
this.
love it.
Shannon now coming under fire by Paul Schiff. No brother Schiff here today, just one Schiff on track. And that is this one. We're missing the urban camouflage red and gold shifter. And this is Shannon Cooper leading the way down here for 8th, 9th and 10th on track. Great battle. Two really good battles going on now. Kyle Boyd has got through on Burke and Jory. 7 laps done, 1 minute left, so he's done very, very well to fight back. All being he started out of 4th, went back to 9th, and at the moment sitting in P5. So yes, he's lost a row on the grid, but that's better than losing 3 rows. And getting back at a couple of races that he has got back through on is really good testament. Royce leading the way, a 1:08.26, his fastest lap. In qualifying, a 1:07.65. So we haven't had anyone get down to that pace, but I would suggest that the heat on the racing surface now will certainly have risen, and the Yokohama control tyre probably not delivering quite the grip it did in the cooler conditions on about lap 6 this morning. We're on lap 8 at the moment, so around about a 68 and a half second lap around here. So it's a fairly short, sharp affair with a very long straight to get down to turn 1.
Yeah, Darren, the UV's at 7 at the moment, and I think the last time I checked the temp it was 20, 21. So yeah, the cars will be struggling with that heat. Heat off the track, heat in the car, heat in the tyres.
And most of them will have tested out here at some stage over the last 12 months or so, and it's either 7 degrees or it's 38 degrees here. So it's always windy. You always get wind, but you can cold test and hot test, sometimes all in the one day here at Calder. As Royce Lyon leads the way here. Last lap board has been displayed, and incoming to Tullamarine overhead now as we speak. And Brett Stevens gets across the line there. This is our race leader, car number 4, fresh off an assault at Mount Panorama. In the Toyota 86 has got a one-off drive up there for Mount Panorama. Acquitted himself well by all accounts. In fact, probably the 86 racing was probably better than the 1000 this year.
It was. Well, actually, no. The 1000 was exciting, Darren. Were you watching? Or you
I was
just
watching
the 86?
gymnastics that day.
Oh, dad duties.
Under brakes, there's shift now. Shannon Cooper really pulling out a nice move, trying to get that there. Where's our race leader coming onto the straight now? Checkered flag at the ready. Race 2 for the weekend already in the bag. Royce Lyon takes the win, and that puts his championship hunt in a magnificent position, as the rest of the field still got corners to race for. Schiff and Cooper, two very, very loyal supporters of this category in the E30 series, going for it. So Ben Munro gets home for second place. That's a terrific result as well. Ash Rogers had a terrific drive in the latter half of that race, all being that he started off the front row. Both him and Kyle Boyd sort of went backwards. Getting to the line, Brett Stevens, then Kyle Boyd in 5th, so fought back well. Car number 27, Brian Boyd. There goes Ship across the line. That's Brian Boyd back to Alex Jory. So Alex Jory started out of 8th, finished 7th, was up to about 6th at one point, but has come back. And car number 39, which is Marty Taylor, is still making his way to the line there. And just watching them come to the line there. So that will see the end of the E30 race. There it is, confirmation of provisional results.
Yeah, Royce Lyon finishing off the series in 1st, Ben Munro 2nd, Ash Rogers Goose in 3rd, Brett Stevens 4th, Kyle Boyd in 5th. Brian Burke fought all that race just to make up one more place from 7th, finished in 6th. Alex Jory in 7th, Paul Schiff in 8th, Shannon Cooper in 9th, Zach Dunn in 10th.
So that is the garagistic BMW E30s. We'll take a short break here at the 888 Home Loans Trico Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. Back in a moment for improved production.
Since being the first to make wipers over a century ago, Trico has protected drivers in all kinds of weather. Torrential downpours, gale force winds, wintry blasts, even when it's raining cats and dogs. Hey, who came up with that phrase anyway? Just imagine if it actually started... Alright. No matter what the conditions, Trico wipers maintain maximum windshield contact for safe, clear driving visibility, even in the harshest weather metaphors.
Jared Tonks has had a terrific season so far, albeit that he only comes into this round with a 6-point lead for the improved production cars. I'm Darren Smith. I'll stay with you. Steve DeVries. Steve, you missed round 5 at Phillip Island, but you're in fine voice with improved production, and Formula V's back on the schedule here for Calder. Improved production, as always, is going to light up our screens this weekend.
Yeah, certainly is. Improved production did skip the last round at Phillip Island with round 5 along with Formula V, the two categories that I'm very close to. Both missed that round, but I was also a little bit unwell that weekend too, but I was quite happily watching along on the Blendline TV live stream, and it was great to see Trico windscreen wipers on board for the first of 2 rounds this year, the last 2 rounds of the season. But for Prestige Hino, of course, improved production, been a mainstay of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships for some time. And it is the closest, or if not one of the closest championship fights that's going to be decided this weekend. You alluded to it just a few seconds ago. The top 2 in the championship, both driving Holdens. You've got Jared Tonks in the rod and gun number 91. He's going to start off of pole, so that's the spot to be. Although he has had a little bit of drama this weekend already. He's had an engine change overnight. Last night, they only fired that car up at 11:30 p.m. and they're back at the circuit here today. So he's managed to do well to take pole after some hasty repairs yesterday. He's ahead of the previous champion from last year, Luke Gretschkumbo, in the number 1 machine, the GC Electrical Senator, with Ian McLennan and Andrew Butcher on the second row of the grid, 3rd and 4th, right behind the front 2. So good result for those 2. Great drive actually for Andrew. He's had a few repairs, had to take place to that BMW over the course of the year, and that's a really good result there in 4th. 5th place is the other man who is fighting for the championship honours with Jared Tonks, Cade Lehman, the number 26 machine, just 6 points behind. So with 100 points on offer today and tomorrow combined, it is very much a wide open championship fight for the State Series crown in improved production. Peter Dixon in 6th in the Monaro. Brett Porter's the first of the under 2 litre cars in the Honda Civic. A fine qualifying for him in 7th place, ahead of Jin Wook Song in 8th.
That's a pretty impressive qualifying there, because a 2 litre car here can suffer with the long straights that we've got, but that is a very impressive show of speed. Anton Bergman in the Audi, back to Larry Merrifield in car number 50, still in the XL?
No, that's in the another one of the Civics.
Civics, of course, an update there. Paul Gavots in the blue Civic there, and Callum Jensen in car number 242, and that's the Peugeot 306 GTI 6. Impressive bit of kit there as well. Rohit Sani in position number 13. Anthony D'Anna in car number 60 there as well. Car 60 is also a BMW. Richie Valentich, and I'm going to say a red, white and blue Tirana, because it has been for many, many years and always looks great on track. In 16th is Andrew Noy.
Yep, Andre Noy in the number 119 there in 16th, ahead of Wayne Decker. And then we get a handful of the Hyundai Excels that are with us this weekend. So Chris Bodale in the number 128 in 18th. Scott Appledore in the Hughes Brothers Removals and Tiger Tune number 32. It's been a little while since we saw Scott, so it's great to have him back. Carly Fleming in 20th. And then the last few spots on the grid are Peter Fleming and Jason Orchard, both in XLs, and Nick Higgins, who will start off the rear of the grid. Had a little bit of a drama in qualifying. He only had first and third gears, and that was it in a 5-speed box. That's not what you want. So he's been able to sort that out in the downtime between qualifying and race one.
Yeah, certainly you can show your Corolla some revs at any day of the week, but at the bottom of this long straight, you're going to need 5th gear in that Corolla, and Nick's been feverishly working down there in the paddock between qualifying and now, so great to see that he will be there. In fact, I cannot confirm nor deny that he's actually on the marshalling area at the moment. So let's just wait and see if that white and red tribute Toyota Works team car makes its way out on track. And I believe that it is actually for sale. It's a very, very diverse use for that particular car.
Yeah, it certainly is. That is, it's one of 2 cars that's currently for sale in the improved production field. The other is the Hyundai Excel that belongs to Scott Appledore. He's possibly looking at a slight upgrade, still with Hyundai machinery, but into a 2-litre capacity moving forward into next year. So the little XL is for sale, and it has competed in the Hyundai XLs as well as improved production. So fit for both purposes. So there's a couple of cars there for sale. Looking forward if you want to get into a race seat for 2025, Darren.
Geez, I tell you what, there is some absolute firepower here in an outright sense and in a 2-litre sense here for improved production today. It's been a little while between rounds for the Prestige Hino field, and I tell you what, if you want a first couple of rows of very, very fast IP cars, then round 6 of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships, brought to you by Trico Home Loans and of course Trico. This is the place to be. That first, I'm going to say 5 rows is absolutely rapid, and you throw a couple of under 2-litre cars in there as well, and they are all over it.
Absolutely. We were looking at the times after qualifying too, and a number of drivers got very close, if not within earshot of the outright track record here for improved production. We believe that it stands at a 103.22, I think, if memory serves me correctly. I think we got down into the mid-3s at our return last year, but there's definitely been some improvement over the course of the last 12 months to both cars and drivers. And I think a few drivers might be trying to give the lap record a shake, and if it's going to happen, it'll come from the front 3 rows of the grid or so. We keep talking about the championship battle between Tonks and Lehman, but there's actually only 7 points separating 3rd, 4th and 5th in the improved production outright standings. So currently it's Peter Dixon holding 3rd. He's in the silver Monaro. Then you've got the yellow Monaro, the yellow nugget as he calls it, for Ian McLennan. That's in 4th. So he's a couple of points behind Dixon in the for 3rd and 4th. And then the 5th place man, surprise or not, is the car on screen there with the pink roof, Anton Bergman. So he's right in that mix for 3rd in the championship for the state series as well. So there's a lot that could change this weekend, or if you have a bad result here or there.
Anton Bergman, always that car always looks awesome. The E30 BMW, and in that black livery that we all remember so well from the Australian Touring Car Championship that Frank Gardner presented the cars in for that long. And I am really looking forward to seeing, well, that car, the HSV Senator, lights ablaze, or has that just been extra nicely polished there that it's glinting in the sunshine there? But the car for Lucresh Gumbo, the Pro Cut car, and the car behind him just grabs first gear there. Ian McLennan, that is ready to go. Slotted it into first, and the car just lurched on the brakes. Really looking forward to getting this done. Field still wobbling their way out of the last corner.
The biggest field of the weekend.
This is losing its time in the race. Come on, guys, let's get this all into place. Watch the E30s, how they do it. They all stop and go within about 10 seconds of each other. Victims of their own success. The bigger the fields, the more you have to wait. But let's watch the front 2 rows of the grid. The number 59, Epilepsy Foundation. of Andrew Butcher, the BMW. Let's see how he goes. The revs are absolutely thumping. Car 1 gets away beautifully, as does the 59 on the left side of the track. The rod and gun entry there of Jared Tonks gets away beautifully.
Here's an absolute drag race down to turn 1. Both the front row got away very, very nicely. It's just Gretsch Cumbo edges ahead. Now under braking, Tonks is the one that edges ahead. He's got the inside line here. There's a little gap there for Gretsch Cumbo just to turn right down into in front of Cade Lehman. That could be rather important if he's still ahead of Lehman by the end of turn 1, and he is, so that keeps him in the game. And we've got Valentic around in the number 15 Tirana. Called his number a little bit early on. The car's still in the same colour scheme, but albeit facing the wrong direction at turn 1.
Macca getting it all sorts of sideways across the ripple strip, going down Jane Hill, so he would have grabbed a cog, powered down on the painted ripple strip there, and that was a massive handful. Have a look at this beautiful BMW of Andrew Butcher. Ranges up the inside of Peter Dixon in the equally magnificent number 21 Monaro, but it is out in front now. Jared Tonks has responded to that magnificent start from Luke Gretsch Cumbo, and he is absolutely thumping down the straight here, banging through the gearbox in these massive horsepower Commodores, and that BMW just sounds a treat. Dixon now across the line.
5-second time penalty's been handed to Andrew Butcher for a jump start, so he had a good launch there, but unfortunately has been adjudged to have gone a fraction too early. He might have just rolled a little bit at the start. So for him, that will be added to the end of his race time. Good start for Cade Lehman. He started 5th. He has moved up into 3rd position in the timing standings. So that's a couple of extra points for him. And crucially, Ian McLennan is still ahead of Peter Dixon. So that then will close the margin down between 3rd and 4th in the championship if it stays where it is. But now Lehman coming under pressure from the much faster in a straight line Monaro.
I tell you what though, Macca is absolutely got the pro cut. Monaro wound up. He's come off the back of the ripple strip through the flip-flop there, the Trico flip-flop, and he is absolutely demonic in his presence on the track at the moment. Watch the Pro Cup Monaro on the straight now. Here comes Butcher in the BMW. Got that 5-second penalty hanging over his head. And at the moment, that is going to be about position 5 down to about position 20. How compact the field is up behind him at the moment. Streaming down the famous drag strip here at Calder Park Raceway. They head down into turn 1. There's a couple of under 2 litre cars leading their class as well.
That's the one in front there. The yellow car belongs to Brett Porter. He's a rookie this year in under 2 litre improved production. He's had a superb season. It has not put a foot wrong all year, and he leads the under 2 litre club championship by quite some margin as a result as well. He's had some great battles with Larry Merrifield, but Larry's had his fair share of mechanical gremlins this weekend as well as throughout the season, so it hasn't been kind to him, but he's still there, still trying to take the fight down to Island Magic in a couple of weeks' time, but as it stands right now, Brett firmly has the upper hand in the under 2 litre class.
Anthony Downer now all over the back of Paul Watts. The BMW just can't seem to get past the wily Civic. These Civics now for quite some time, since Jordan Cox lit up the internet chasing down Ray Hislop at Mount Panorama, these Civics have been absolutely massive. It's been the Zorkis car that has been very fast in the Victorian Series, but this yellow one is absolutely starting to come head and shoulders above the other under 2 litre cars. Here's the Bergman BMW. I love the pump guards on this car, the stance, the width of this number 66 always looks so cool on track. Anton Bergman driving the wheels off it, and I tell you what, at the moment it's the 52 rounding him up to try and get those spots back, which is Brett Porter.
Certainly is. Just ahead of them as well, Jin Wook Song, who was last year's Rookie of the Year for improved production. He was one of a handful of drivers that missed this round last year. They broke a piston at the preceding round of the championship last year, which meant they had to miss Calder Park. So he's very much in a learning experience this weekend, but he's enjoying what he's doing. He's had a great season last year. He's having an equally good season this year, but he hasn't been able to shake Anton Bergman, and who himself hasn't been able to shake Brett Porter in all of this. You'll see that Jin just pulls away down the straight. That's the V8 horsepower coming into effect. But then through the back part of the circuit where there's all the flip-flop up the hill, up through the chicane, then he just can't hold that margin that he inherits down the front straight. He cannot just keep them at bay. He manages to lose it and then he gets it all back again. So this is the nature of what we see in improved production with the different types and makes and models of cars that we have.
Gee, I feel for Brett Porter in the 52 here. I understand an under 2 litre car and you get on the straight, you think you've got it, and then a couple of extra cylinders, a little bit more capacity, and then just drive away down the long straight now. Getting a good look at a couple of the protagonists further down the field. That's Wayne Decker and Noy.
Yep.
Here we go. This is Nick Higgins, so he is in the race in this magnificent little Corolla. He ran this in the tribute class at the Winton Festival of Speed put on by the Victorian Historic Racing Register. It was a great weekend. And the tribute cars had a massive field, and this really is a beautiful build, and I'm pretty sure I'm not out of line by saying this car is for sale.
It certainly is for sale. End of the season, it is definitely up for sale. Nick's still building up a Gemini at the moment, so he's trying to get that up and running for racing, but as he did say to me in the paddock, the wallet's taken an old hit this year, so you just got to manage that a little bit, and hopefully we will see him out in something next year. Racing, but they've just been lapped as well. So this is how quickly these races go. Still 3.5 minutes to go, and already the race leaders are lapping the back markers.
I'll just remind Nick, it's probably been 20 years in the build, that Gemini, so I'll just put that out there, Nick. There you go. You've got 2 years to get it finished, mate.
There we go. Here's another one of the cars that's up for sale. It's the one on the left of your shot there, the number 32E, which is still carrying that tribute livery from back in the day when it ran in XLs. It's Scott Appledore, and they're just bit of an awkward time there for the faster cars to come across them at the top end of the circuit, slowest part of the circuit, but they've managed to do that pretty well with Lehman and McLennan managing to slip through. Butch is now about to do the same thing and leave the XLs of Appledore, and I think that's Carly Fleming behind. They're two very similar cars, Carly and Peter Fleming, but one's got the big old rally-style rear wing on the back, and the other one does not.
I tell you what, Macca's probably suffering from getting the car a little bit wild, a little bit sideways, putting on probably a little bit too much wheel spin in the first couple of laps. We've got 6 laps done, 2.5 minutes left on the time certain clock, but he's starting to look after the car a little bit more now. But Cade has certainly shown us for at least a couple of seasons now that his car control is brilliant. And just watching the back of the black Commodore number 26 move around a little bit here, moving on its tyres as well as the yellow Pro Cut Monaro as well. Just see the car just yawing a little bit there. So starting to really pull the skill with that middle pedal at the moment, just making sure that you can pull it up without losing your brakes completely. But our two guys out in front, as Luke Gretsch Gumbo just absolutely thumps down the straight just in front of these two, and this is for 3rd and 4th on the race.
Yes, I'm just looking at the different lines that some of them are taking as well. You see that Ian's taking a bit more of a gradual curve through the final part of the straight, whereas Cade's trying to cut off the avenue a little bit more and drive it a little bit straighter out of the corner, and that goes with what you're saying, Darren, that they're trying to just manage their tyres a little bit rear grip limited. So the way you can combat that is just by changing your driving style approach, whether you beat the corner off, whether you take a more gradual approach and put less steering lock on, and therefore you have less steering lock to take off, so you can continue to make nice pace around the circuit. So you'll see here Tonks turns in from a nice wide angle as the traditional racing line goes there, and then when these two come along, you can see that McLennan's having a look at the inside here. You can't make that stick, but watch what happens when they come out of the final corner. So through the little flip-flop, they call it here, and you'll get a really good shot as they exit here, where Cade sort of takes a bit more of a tighter line, whereas Ian's going out a little bit wider, trying to drive out nice and smoothly on the power, and therefore doesn't have to put so much steering lock on.
I do like the fact that Mac is out there in the Pro Cut car, and he is putting on a show there. He's having a look inside, outside. He's having a look over the back of the ripple strip to see if there's some time there as well. Really putting on a great show. I'm pretty sure he's there to try and make up that time on Lehman. And it's almost like a story of two different driving styles you've been just describing there, Steve. And it is how they do it, isn't it? And that is, Macca really does like to get up on the wheel. Cade is more, I guess, a little bit more relaxed with it. And either way, makes me happy. What I liked was the camera coming up over Jane Hill with those two V8s. Oh, Bergman the slide.
Big rear lock for Anton Bergman.
Lose the spot to the 121 HPS car there of Jim Song.
Not quite.
No, he's not.
He managed to hold on to it, but that was a scary moment for Bergman. That's probably about the first major little misstep he's made all season long. A little bit of a rear chattering on the rear brakes going into turn one, left it a little bit too late, and just managed to keep it on the tarmac and hang on to that spot ahead of Jinwook Song.
See, we're looking straight in on Peter Dixon now. You can just about see him changing his mind inside the silver Monaro there. Veltich in the Tirana. Decker in the Audi coming down the straight now. We've gone 30 seconds and our leaders are on the last lap now. So there goes Dixon down the straight, and our race leaders are working their way up over Jane Hill now. There's Tonks bringing it into the end of this race.
Certainly is. He's been able to control this from the get-go. Had a little bit of a tardy start, but managed to outlast Luke Gretschkumbo in the drag race to turn number one, and by virtue of holding the inside line, he was able to hang on to P1, and he's managed and controlled this gap quite nicely. 3.5 seconds there or thereabouts is going to be the finishing margin for the Rod and Gun number 91, and he chalks up another win this year, and he will extend his very, very slim margin in the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championship fight over Cade Lehman by a couple of points. Lehman's going to finish third, so 30 points to Tonks, 26 to Lehman, so that makes the margin 10 at the end of this race with 2 more to go this weekend.
So Andrew Butcher will be added that 5 seconds to his race time. We're just seeing a bit of a timing glitch there at the moment. It's putting him at the top of the race. So
I think they've deducted 5 seconds rather than added 5 seconds.
Yeah. They've given him a gift, but that will certainly replay itself. The timing screen just going a little bit berserk at the moment. Great to see such a big group of combined clubs here this weekend, because each round of the series, except for Winton and here at Calder, are run by separate clubs, whether they be the MG Car Club, the Mini Car Club, PIARC, or the Australian Sports Sedan Association of Victoria. For Winton and here, all the clubs get together and run it as a combined affair and promote this particular round. So it's a really big thank you to all of those officials that have come here to Calder, whether they worked here 30 years ago with the World Touring Car Championship when we linked the Thunderdome to the flat track and did all of that, or whether this is their first event trackside as an official. A big shout out to the Victorian Flag Marshalling team. They do a fantastic thing as well out there. The recovery crew, and a really, really good story. Many, many decades of dedication to motorsport, and I'm going to say probably the last 30 dedicated to the recovery crew. And I refer to Ken Cage Johnson, who retired from motorsport about 15 years ago. This is his second retirement, but I think Cage is nudging 80 years of age, and I think Isle of Magic will be his last one. But I just wanted to acknowledge Ken Cage Johnson for his massive contribution. I'm going to say almost unequalled contribution to Victorian and Australian motorsport. So a big shout out to Cage and his family, of course, his boys as well, heavily involved in motorsport, and Lynn, his wife, who's probably made a bigger contribution than Ken has. But that's it for me, and for improved production. Coming up next will be the Formula V's. We'll be back in just a moment.
Since being the first to make wipers over a century ago, Trico has protected drivers in all kinds of weather. Torrential downpours, gale force winds, wintry blasts, even when it's raining cats and dogs. Hey, who came up with that phrase anyway? Just imagine if it actually started... Alright. No matter what the conditions, Trico wipers maintain maximum windshield contact for safe, clear driving visibility, even in the harshest weather metaphors.
Well, it's been a great year of Formula V racing in the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championship. They didn't compete at the last round at Phillip Island at the beginning of the month, but they are here to decide the 2024 State Series as well. It's not as close in terms of points as what the improved production club championship is going into this weekend, but it's still very much up for grabs. My name is Steve DeVries, and opposite me is the revelation, I guess I can call it, from last round at Phillip Island in Tom Reed. Tom, you've got some big shoes to fill here this weekend, because it's normally Dan McCarthy that stands opposite me for Formula V, but you've got some open wheel connections yourself, because you're very much in kin with things Formula Ford. So this is sort of a little bit of a second sort of category, I guess you can put your name to now, isn't it?
Yeah, sort of similar, Steve. A bit of connection as well with Formula V's. My dad used to race it in around 1989, and he was the Victorian State Series winner of the championship. But it's awesome to be back at Calder. It's my second time ever being here, first time being back in July, and it's amazing to see the facility and how cool it is to have it back so close to Melbourne.
Absolutely. For me, it's the second time being here as well, after being here 12 months ago, and just seeing what change has happened in 12 months, where we started from last year. I remember we were doing a flag drop start at the beginning of the start finish straight to start the races off. We've now got a set of traffic lights there that's going to happen. We've got a little bit more work that's been done to gravel traps and safety requirements and things like that. They are definitely putting in the effort to make this a viable racing circuit moving forward, and that's what excites me the most. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about what's going to happen to Sandown when it goes, and those sorts of things, but it's always good to have a backup plan up your sleeve. But for me, this is not a backup plan anymore. This is very much at the front of things now. It's getting back to where it was.
Yeah, notably one of those improvements being the Turn 6 runoff area, which was extended in order to have a racing license brought back to this facility, and that just improves the safety again at this facility.
Absolutely correct, yeah. Safety being a paramount thing. It's been a big thing in Formula V this year as well, something that the club nationally and here in Victoria has been red hot on, is the rollover protection. There is a minimum clearance height that everybody needs to meet. Believe it or not, 50 millimetres doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the difference between, life and death in some situations. There's been a little bit of a few rollovers this year. Brock Hamilton up at Winton. We had the big one at Sandown with Jake Rowe over at Turn 2 and 3, and a few other drivers that had come to grief across the season as well, not so much from rollovers, but with nose cones coming off and some fairly substantial damage as well. So safety is paramount in any form of motorsport, not just open wheelers. So all those guys that have had their fair share of drama, some of them are back in the field, some of them have still got some cars to repair, but the first and foremost thing is that they go home at the end of every race, because that's the one thing we want. So that's what we've had all year long. Race cars can be repaired. Unfortunately, people can't be replaced. So that's the one thing we do take out of it. And we have got a few people, I guess, here this weekend. It was good to see Jake Rowe actually running around this weekend with his young son Sutton in the paddock. So hi to those guys. Good to have you around. We look forward to seeing when you're back in the Formula V field at a point in time to be decided. But it's still good to see you out here supporting the club, even if you aren't there on the track.
Exactly, and we're slightly smaller grid this weekend with 10 cars, and we're just waiting for the cars to slowly roll out onto the field. We're not sure when they're going to come out, but we'll bring you that action as soon as they do.
Yep, so the 13 minutes and plus 1 lap is what the timer is set for. I think it was meant to be about a 10 past 2 start, so tracking slightly early here at Calder Park, but that can be a good thing. It always is a good thing when you've not got a timing that's running a little bit late, or sessions that are starting a little bit late, because it typically means that everybody's been behaving themselves, so it means we're running on time. As I said, Formula V, the championship for the State Series is not as close as some of the other championships. It's 31 points. The man who's starting on pole, Lee Partridge, is the the chaser, not the chasee. And the man in second spot, who is the one who's leading the state points at the moment, is Ash Quiddington. He's had a fantastic return. 12 months ago, he was watching Blendline TV and he was wanting to be out there because he was seeing how much everything was going on and just the kind of product that was being produced. 12 months on from that, he could be adding a state title to his name this weekend.
Yeah, he'd be hoping to win that state championship, and we've got the engine started on the dummy grid, 1 minute to go, and these cars will slowly start to roll out onto the track. But you'll take a look at your pole sitter, Lee Partridge, his beautiful silk cut livery with stickeroo down the side of his car. You see how incredible that thing looks.
That's absolutely, I mean, he's been doing some wonderful things all season long with that livery, and this one, I think there's a few people looking at it, and if you look hard enough, you'll realise, as you said, it is the 1988 silk cut Jag tribute livery on that car, the car that won Le Mans that year in 1988, along with a number of other races that year. I think there was 11 races total in that team in that livery, won 6. So it was quite an outstanding effort for the Jaguar XJR 9 it was back in the day, and that's what that tribute livery is based on. He says he's got one more in the bank for Island Magic, and I tried to quiz him what it was going to be, and he refused to give me an answer, but he said it was going to be his favourite. So I'll let that go, and we'll just see what he comes up with in about a month's time at Island Magic, so I can't wait for that. But the Working Drones Australia, number 28, Elite Partridge, will be on pole. He was on pole by the biggest margin of the season so far. It was nearly half a second to Ash Whittington, which was a big surprise. Andre Curran starting third in the number 32, the Aussie Boat Sales entry there. Brock Hamilton, the best of the Silver Fox racing cars, out of position number 4. We go over the page to Ash Clifford, the Star Res Sabre, in 5th. Cam Bell in 6th in the number 4. Darren Power for Acura Motorsport in 7th, with Malachi Windsor in 8th. And then the last 2 spots on the grid are occupied by Shane Purvis in the Joust Raceway number 6 and Charlie Richardson in the number 16. We did have 11 cars here this weekend. Unfortunately, we lost 1 car yesterday in Mick Fisher in the Builders Crane Hire number 33. They came in and discovered a pretty substantial crack in the gearbox in that car, and unfortunately he has not got a replacement handy, so they weren't able to change it out, so he has unfortunately withdrawn from the event. We had 11 cars take to the track last year. We've got 10 this year. It's a little bit of an awkward time, especially because a lot of the younger drivers that participate in this category are doing their exams or getting ready for end-of-year exams at the moment, so just takes a couple of numbers off the field, as well as the cars that had some accident damage from the last round at Sandown.
Also, a couple of cars up at One Raceway, I believe.
Correct. Yes, so there's another, the National Series competing at One Raceway this weekend as well. A number of those competitors will be with us for Island Magic as well in a couple of weeks' time too.
Can't wait to get there one time. I'd love to see the new facility and what they've done up there at Wakefield. It looks amazing. Of course, the High-Tech All Super Series is up there this weekend. But the cars moving down the grid. The yellow flags will slowly drop away when these cars move into position. And I'm looking out my commentary box window at the number 28, Lee Partridge. Has got his front wheels right on the white line. He can't creep any further forward than that. And he's looking to maximise this start here for the final round of Victorian State Racing Series presented by Trico.
Absolutely. I did notice the exactly same thing. A lot of the Formula V drivers getting right up on the white line, unlike the improved production cars we saw a few moments ago where they were giving away a little bit of margin. Everybody right up on the white line. 5-second board is held out. That means we're a few seconds away from the start. When the lights go out, the cars get moving and away we go. And I think the better reaction time there off the start line went to Ash Whittington on the driver's left, and he's actually moved across in front of Partridge, so that confirms it. He definitely had the better of the 2 starts, but it's a long run all the way down to turn number 1, and it's not over yet, and Partridge will try and take that position back. Oh, that's very tight going into turn number 1, and he manages to get back to where he started in P number 1. Top 5 as they started.
Just following the leaders here. Currently Partridge leading, Ashley Whittington in the Sabre. Watch for Andre Curran. He'll be looking to pass these 2 down the front straight, possibly toe pass them by the time they get to turn 1, and taking a massive amount of curb through the right-hander at the flip-flop.
Yeah, certainly does take a bit of curb there. You got Brock Hamilton tucked in behind Andre Curran. Andre's been pretty close on a couple of occasions this year. He's been within earshot of the win. He just hasn't been able to wrestle that last or extra spot or two when he needs it most. But it's a good opportunity for him this weekend. If he can stay with this leading pair, who have been the two outstanding drivers all season long, he'll definitely be in with a shot. And this is what we see in Formula V. You don't want to give your opponent a tow, and they just follow you across the road until they get one.
So the top four have immediately sort of broken away from the rest of the field, with Lee Partridge leading the opening lap from Ashley Whittington in second, who's going to pull out for a move down the end of the front straight. Watch for Andre Curran to try and capitalise on this. And he gets the move done there beautifully, Ashley Whittington in the Sabre.
Yep, gets it done fairly quickly and completes the pass on the exit. And it looked like Curran was just struggling to pull up the number 32 Aussie boat sales machine a little bit at turn number 1, but that can be because it is a bit of a bumpy approach in the braking zone. It's not an easy braking zone to get right. It's a long, look at the curb camera, that's a fantastic shot. It's not an easy run into turn 1 by any stretch of the imagination. You feel like you're just going to pull it up leisurely for turn number 1 after being a high-speed approach like a turn 1 at Sandown or going up the back straight into turn 6 at Sandown. But then you get into the braking zone and it really starts to play havoc with you. So you've got to get your braking marker for turn 1 absolutely spot on.
Here we go again. About to commence lap 2 with 7 minutes 40 seconds remaining on the clock. Whittington will be weaving all over the place here, but Partridge is all over him by the time they get down the front straight. He's already pulled out and taken the first spot away from Whittington there. Let's see if Curran can do anything. No, he can't. He's just going to wait. He's got to pick his time nicely.
Yep, we got a little bit on the outside of turn 1 there. Just put his left side tyres in the concrete ribble strip. He's a little bit leery and a little bit loose, I think, pushing quite hard coming out of turn number 1. He'll play the smart game here, Andre. He knows that the top 2 are fighting for a championship, and he'll know to pick his battle when the opportunity is right. Same with Brock Hamilton, who's come a long way since his accident at Winton earlier on in the year. He's been playing quite smartly since the Silver Fox guys put him into the number 11, and has driven very, very well. And he's still trying to keep in touch with Andre here. He's doing a great job. He's sort of recovered after that, sort of dropping back a little bit at the beginning of lap 1. He's now very close to the gearbox of Curran as they come out of the final corner. Curran himself's actually lost a little bit of touch to the rear of Ash Whittington. That margin's gone out by about half a dozen car lengths now.
Yeah, there's sort of 2 breakaway groups here. The front 2 are together and the third and fourth are together, but I don't know if Whittington's got enough to get past Partridge down the front straight. Let's see if he can do anything down into turn 1. No, he can't, but the move is behind on Andre Curran, who Brock Hamilton was sizing up a move there in the Silver Fox Racing blue number 11, but couldn't quite get it done. Not enough length in the long front straight at Calder.
No, not this time around anyway. Behind them, Ash Clifford is about 4 seconds behind this 2 pair on screen. And then the first of the Acura cars in Darren Power, the number 44 machine, running in 6th. And then Cameron Bell in 7th. Shane Purvis, who started on the rear of the grid in 9th, he's moved up into 8th ahead of Charlie Richardson. And Malachi Windsor, who started in 8th in the 88 machine, he's dropped back to the bottom of the pile. He's 10th, but he's right on Richardson's tail as they came across the stripe the last time around. Malachi Windsor's actually in a new car this weekend, the Jacer. For a long, long time, he campaigned the Sabre 01. He started his life in one of the Elfins with the Acura stable, and he's actually got the ex-Curtis Porter machine. There he is. Got the ex-Curtis Porter Jacer from Queensland. Curtis himself was a recipient of a brand new Sabre 02, courtesy of the guys down at Sabre Race Cars and JRD.
So these guys are battling for 9th and 10th. Richardson and Malachi Windsor behind, like you were talking about. And there's a move here for 3rd and 4th. Down the inside goes the number 11 Silver Fox Racing machine of Brock Hamilton, but he couldn't quite get it done. He'll slot behind Andre Curran and try and get the run over James Hill through Whitlock.
Played smart there. He was hung out to dry sort of on the inside, and when Curran sort of nudged ahead on the racing line, he thought better of it and pulled back in. That's the wise decision. Sometimes they're the decisions that you don't learn at the beginning of your career, but you learn as time goes on that there's smarter opportunities to be had, and you just pull back in and wait for the next one to come along. Whittington's closed this margin down to Partridge. It was about half a second last time across the stripe. It's definitely going to be a little bit less than that. He is firmly in the toe, and Partridge is protecting the inside run to turn number 1. It's now just over 0.2 of a second. So Partridge will stay to the right. He'll force Ash Whittington to go the long way round at turn number 1. He edges ahead in the braking zone, but Partridge is still in there. He's in there quite deep, actually. Oh, just manages to pull it up to avoid being crisscrossed on the exit at 1.
Partridge threw it in super deep into turn 1 to hold that fast charging number 12 of Ash Whittington off. And over Janes Hill they go through to flip-flop on lap number 5 with 3 minutes 45 seconds to go. Can Ashley Whittington do anything to get past the beautifully presented number 28 of Lee Partridge?
The next 3.5 minutes are going to feel like an eternity for some of these guys in Formula V. Given it's only a 13-minute plus 1 lap affair, it goes quite quickly. Their lap times are in the 1 minute 8s and 1 minute 9s, but from improved production, they've got about 10 laps out of the 13-minute window. So somewhere between 9 and 10 is what you'll expect to see these cars get out of their allotted time period as well. But this is a scintillating battle. 1 and 2 on the road is 2 versus 1 in the state championship in favour of the car running in position number 2. So for Whittington, he doesn't need to do anything silly in the championship fight. He just needs to finish the races this weekend and take the points that come with it, and he will be the 2024 Victorian State Champion for Formula V. But he's a racer. He'll want to win the race outright.
Always hungry for a race win. You never want to come second.
No, definitely
Don't
not.
want to be the first of the losers.
And he's had a handful of wins already this year, so he wants to add to that tally. Absolutely no doubt about it. He'll be pushing Partridge all the way, and Lee will be just trying to chalk up those wins and then hope for a mistake from Ash Quitter, because that's really all he can do at the moment.
Yeah, down the back straight, looking at the number 32 and the 11 here of the Silver Fox racing machine of Brock Hamilton, trying to get a move done. But 2 minutes to go. Second place car of Ashley Whittington would have had a number of laps here to think about how he can get past your race leader Lee Partridge in his Sabre. But still looking at the battle between Andre Curran and Brock Hamilton down the front straight. Let's see if Brock Hamilton can get past the 32 car.
He was a little bit wide there out of the final corner, Curran. He got very, very close to that left-hand side of the track where there's a little bit of concrete that's been laid down behind the white line. And here we go for position number 1. Whittington down the driver's right-hand side on the front straight, and he now takes the lead. Lee wasn't able to hold him off for much longer, but that's not a bad place to be coming into the last minute and a half of the race. We say this at a lot of circuits. You've got to pick your battles and pick your timing as to when you want to get past. And you can see here that if you can get past your opponent by the time you get to turn number 1, there's very little opportunity around the rest of the circuit. There's only one more potential passing spot, which is down on the approach to turn number 6. We don't see a lot of it there at this track. So once you can get that spot away from your opponent at 1, you're almost in a 80% of the way towards retaining that spot by the time you get to the checkered flag or the start-finish line the next time around.
Yeah, I also think we're very lucky with the tracks we have in Victoria. We've got Sandown, Phillip Island, and now Calder, which are all drafting tracks for these open wheelers. As, again, the 32 is trying to defend off number 11 of Brock Hamilton down the front straight. The front 4 drivers are absolutely going for it. Down the inside goes Lee Partridge. He's going to cut across the front nose of the number 12's Sabre and get that move done for position number 1.
Super deep into the braking zone again. You could hear the tyres starting to protest as they scraped across the road on the bumps going into turn number 1. But he was very close to the wall coming down that front straight as well. This is 2 great battles for first and second and third and fourth on the road. Both drivers in both battles have not put a foot wrong. What a run out of the flip-flop chicane by Whittington, but he can't do anything with it. He's going to try and throw it up the inside. Here is he at turn number 6. We don't see passing here all that often. Oh, and he has his nose cut off by Partridge going into there, but he got a super run over the hill and through that very, very fast chicane and just couldn't find a way past.
Well, I'm not sure Ashley needed to do anything about it then, because we are commencing, I believe this might be the final lap as the clocks run to 0. This is his last chance to get past the number 28 here to get the lead, but he's got to hold it off for the rest of the lap if he does get past by the time they get down to turn 1.
And Partridge knows it too. He's seen the last lap board too, so he protected the inside run down to turn number 1, but Whittington was passed very, very quickly, and now they're both at the maximum threshold of braking going round turn 1. Partridge has to concede because Whittington's through, so now the shoe's on the other foot. Can Partridge get the run out of turn number 3 here, up and over Jane Hill, and then through the flip-flop? Can he get the same sort of run that the number 12 Oasis building entry did through here and get a good run down into turn number 6? He's got, it's a pretty decent run, but protecting the inside again, just doing the same things over and over again. Whittington, again, maximum threshold, braking, steps out in the rear going into 6, but he should be safe from here. Just one more corner to go. If he can get this right, it'll be another win for the number 12 this year, and he gets the power down and he'll drive to the line after a scintillating battle between the top 2 in the championship, and the margin's going to be extended by a further 2 points in favour of Ash Whittington. So that's making the task a little bit more difficult now going into Sunday's pair of races. Kieran holds off Hamilton by 0.2 of a second for third. Great scrap there. Cameron Bell, he's got the Joust Raceway entry of Shane Purvis all over his rear gearbox coming to the line here as well, and he's going to manage to hold him. Actually, that's a change of position. Bell has actually repassed Purvis on the last lap and gets back up to, position number 7. So he was passed by Purvis and then he passed him back. Great job.
Yeah, amazing racing from the Formula Vs. Just saw Charlie Richardson to come across the line to finish in position 9, and unfortunately Malachi Windsor only completed 6 out of the 10 laps as he pulled off down the run into turn 1 off to the left-hand side so that we could continue racing. But insane racing by the Formula V guys. The top 2 and 3rd and 4th battled all race long. Ashley Whittington coming away with the chocolates to win from Lee Partridge, Andre Curran, Brock Hamilton, Ashley Clifford in 5th, Darren Power 6th, Cameron Bell 7th, Shane Purvis 8th, Charlie Richardson in 9th, and your non-finisher Malachi Windsor in 10th.
Well, that's the first race of the weekend for Formula V. The championship fight still goes on. It will be decided tomorrow with the 2 races to come, so 70 points still there. So it's still mathematically possible, but the challenge is getting further and further more difficult for Lee Partridge to wrestle P1 away. So one hand, I think, is probably on the trophy for Ash Whittington, but he's definitely got a lot more work to do in tomorrow's pair of races to make that a reality. So we'll have a short break here in the commentary position, and on the other side of this, it will be the Hyundai Excels. Don't go anywhere.
Yes, that's right. It is Circuit XL time here at Calder Park. You join us once again on the Blendline TV stream for round 6, the final round of Victorian State Circuit Race Series here in this beautiful little time capsule of Melbourne motorsport here. You see a shot of the Thunderdome, missing quite a lot of seats and quite a lot of the bums that would have been in them in this place's heyday. But it's so good to be able to come here and still race around this, I guess the traditional, like the road course you could call it here at Calder Park. And we've seen some fantastic racing all day long so far from all these other categories. And now it's time for some Hyundai XL action. And they've been putting on shows all around the state and indeed all around the country in various state XL organisations. So the action that we're going to be seeing here today is going to be scintillating. You will not want to be going anywhere for it. My name is Matt Dunlop. Tom, back in the box after a really tight finish to that last Formula Ford race, and you've been calling XLs from the last weekend as well. We saw how good that action was in Phillip Island. We know that the racing is going to be just as good this time around again.
Yeah, we do. Slightly smaller field here with 16 cars, but immediately we'll run through the starting grid, and Emily Jones doing a fantastic job to get pole position. The sim racer, who streams over on Twitch, got the job done over Ashton Kadich by a very, very small margin. He'll line off position 2. Tice Hodge, your winner in race 3 at Phillip Island, will come off position 3 in the 185. Tabitha Ambrose in the 199. That was the round-winning car back at Phillip Island. That was driven by Ollie Wickham, a fellow Tasmanian. Then we go William Sala and James Sarah, 5th and 6th. Rio Campbell in position 7, the 333. Brendan Sala in 8th in the 181. And then we move back to Harry Strick in the 630. Lachlan Harvey in the 25, the Bay 2 Bay rental car. Jack Johnson in the 129 off position 11. Then Samuel Gibson, the 172 off position 12. Then we move back to 13th and 14th, which will be Ben Gallagher and Lee Salemeyer in the 327. Keenan Jones in the KXL Autosport 380. Then back to Carly Flemington, your last place position in the 142 off position number 16.
Keen eyes would have noticed one big name missing from that list. Hugo Simpson, our championship leader, not present here at Calder Park this weekend, and he has a 41-point lead in the standings with 100 points up for grab this weekend. So it'll be very, very fortunate for him if he can hold on to this lead with not attending, but Tice Hodge is going to be right there looking to capitalise. Currently second in the standings, 41 points adrift, as I said, currently sitting on 283 points. Last race winner as well. He had a great weekend, started 12th at Phillip Island, improved himself up to 3rd position in race 2, and then won the final race of the afternoon. So he'll be looking to carry on that form here, but so many of these drivers here at in the Circuit XLs, they're all such young drivers. The vast majority of them have not seen any experience here at Calder Park. It's a brand new experience for them. I was having a chat to Emily Jones, our pole sitter for this race, about how she was feeling, and she said, I've got no idea how this race is going to go. She's got no idea what the draft is going to be like, what the tow is, because you can get some form of an idea by watching the other categories. But in Emily's own words, the draft in the Hyundai XLs is most effective when you're parked right behind that car. They don't leave a huge amount of wake turbulence off the back that allows you to just soak up that gap from a long way back. You've got to be tucked onto the bumper of the car in front of you if you want to try and make a move down into turn 1. But as we've been seeing all season long in the Circuit XLs, they have no trouble racing in such tight packs that you could throw a blanket over them.
No, we saw that at Phillip Island with the top 3 or 4, even the top 6 racing together incredibly close, and the battles between Ollie Wickham and Tice Hodge and Emily Jones came away with the 6th position, I believe, in the final race of round 5 at Phillip Island. But she'll be looking to capitalise off position number 1 today. I'm not sure if it's her first pole position in the XLs. It might be, but she'll be absolutely excited to get this race going. And we don't have a delay, but we're slightly ahead of schedule here. We're set to start in around about 7 minutes time for the Circuit XLs.
It'll be good to see what they can do here, because we can see the as Dale Kerrigan famously said in The Castle, power lines are a testament to man's ability to generate electricity. We're seeing a fine example of that down here in Keilor, and we can see it's not this. One of the things I've always liked about Calder Park is you can see the skyscrapers in the background, the distance from the city. So many racetracks around the world suffer from the fate of being built close to the city and then they're overtaken by development, and it's always a catch-22. Sandown is currently in a lot of limbo, as we all know. It's like, are they going to close down? Are they going to keep racing? Because they're on such prime real estate. Here in Calder Park, it's in a weird way blessed by being right near the flight path of Tullamarine, because Yes, it is quite close to the city, but it is quite close to the airport, which means look at all that green around here. There's no danger of any housing development. So I think whether we'll be able to see much more racing at a higher level than these sort of state categories, whether we'll see many returns to national level racing at Calder Park, does remain to be seen. Needs to be quite a bit of work done at this facility, but we have it here. We can race cars here, and as I said earlier at the top of the broadcast, it's a beautiful little time capsule of Melbourne motorsport, and it's such a privilege to be able to come here.
The more permanent circuit racing tracks that we have in Victoria and in the country, the better, and the more racing that the guys in the Vic State Series can do. Also, would love to see this return to national motor racing. I know Formula Ford would be amazing to watch down here, down the long front straight. Formula V, they just put on an awesome race just before, and it would be great to see even an historic event here one day.
100%. It's been really interesting seeing a few categories getting involved with stock car racing, where they've been getting cars out here on the main track with those older, the Oz cars and the NAS cars that we saw racing around here 20 years ago in this facility's heyday, and even doing some demo laps on the Thunderdome just next door, which is just a brilliant sight to see. But in the meantime, we've just heard some whistles blowing down in the pit paddock, so we shouldn't be too far away from seeing a full pack of 16 Hyundai XLs rolling out here into the pit lane. This is going to be a cracker. Formula V, I think, was a great race, which was obviously a great race. You had the privilege of calling it. Such close action between, the battle for first there, the battle for third. And these XLs, I hardly imagine they're going to be much different. They're all obviously such closely matched cars. They're all full of young drivers looking to get the absolute most out of them. And for a lot of drivers, because they don't know this place, it's going to be a bit of a clean slate. So we've seen a bit of a shake-up in qualifying. We've seen Emily Jones make her way up to the front. She hasn't even finished on the podium yet this season, and she's starting on pole position. This is her best chance yet. Yeah,
it's almost like going to a facility that's brand new, even though this has been around for 30-odd years. It's all new to these drivers pretty much. They may have had a chance to go testing throughout the year and at the state event last year, at the end of last year when we first came back to Calder. But it's all new to these guys, and they'll be looking to gain as much experience on this track as possible as we see them rolling out of the dummy grid down into Trico pit lane, and they will start their warm-up lap.
Getting laps in and getting time under your belt in qualifying conditions is one thing, but racing pace is quite another. It's such a different ball game, and especially at this track, because it's a long run down to a slow, tight turn one. It's such a wide track. You saw how much those V's were fanning out on the run into turn one earlier. We've already seen mayhem at the first corner as well. A lot of these drivers won't necessarily be used to that sort of action, so it's going to be brilliant to see what sort of pack racing we can see here, and we are not too far away from the race's start. We've just taken a look at the grid. We talked a bit about Emily Jones, our pole sitter. Ashton Kadich right on her tail with a very, very close margin there. It was just a smidge under 100th of a second there, the gap for first and second there. Right behind them in fourth position, Tabitha Ambrose. Great to see her back in the 199 car. That was being taken over by Ollie Wickham, as he mentioned earlier, 3 weeks ago at Phillip Island, while Tabitha was taking a break, having done a Formula Ford race in Sydney Motorsport Park the weekend prior. She will, of course, be moving to Formula Ford full-time for next season, having a run in the Victorian State Series, we hope, and hopefully seeing her on a few other racetracks around Australia. But in that number 6, previously the number 6 Formula Ford operated by Paul Ziddy, now she's running that with the help of the whole Marcus Ambrose Motorsport stable. But it's fantastic to see her back in action here in the XLs in that number 199 machine, but she's got a lot of stiff competition here.
She does, yep. And this roll-around lap is incredibly quick, so we are going to get a start very shortly, as we looked at Harry Strick there, the Ravage Raceworks machine coming around the last corner, trying to get as much heat into those front tyres, but also the rear tyres. These are a front-wheel drive generated machine, and they have a very cold rear end if they're not used properly.
In saying that as well, Emily was also mentioning that understeer is a big thing that they want to try and get on top of all these drivers, because those front wheels are so important. You know, they're doing all the work. They're doing the braking, they're doing the accelerating, they're doing a lot of the turning work as well, of course. And if you're understeering, you need to get on top of that to make sure that you're getting as much momentum and carrying it through as possible, especially through a corner like that final bend coming onto this main straight. If you want to get advantage of the momentum and you want to get the best draft and toe possible, then you have to be able to nail that. 5-second board is out, and we're not too far away from a race start here. The tension's been building up in these cars just as much as it has been in the booth. We're underway here at Calder Park for race 1. It's a fairly even start off the front. Pretty clean getaway for just about the whole field as they all jostle for their initial positions into turn 1. Looked to be a little bit of a jump from Emily Jones on the inside. She's getting pushed all the way to the right-hand side wall by the number 13 of Ashton Caddick. She's trying to make a run around the outside. We see behind them the number 18, I believe that is, trying to have a bit of a run there. Side by side, Caddick is trying to hold his position around the outside. Emily Jones is going to be feeling pretty comfortable with that inside line. Geez, there's so much chatter on that bumpy turn one. Tice Hodge in the number 185 was also trying to have a look and capitalise off the run that Emily Jones had, but she may lose her position here as they go across the top of the hill. We have just had a bit of an off. That's the number 25 machine of Lachlan Harvey, who's just recovering back onto the track. So the racing will continue. Emily Jones slots back in front of Ashton Caddick just as they go through the flip-flop. Fantastic curb shot from our Blendline TV broadcast providers here. But look at the field just swarming all over. They're trying to find passing opportunities everywhere they can.
Yeah, I just saw, I think that was Johnson off the track there through the flip-flop and finding a bit of damage. He's just slowly getting back onto the racing surface here. But we look at the 36 of William Sala. I believe he had a move made on him, or he's trying to make a move on Tabitha Ambrose down the front straight. But if these guys battle too hard, guys and girls battle too hard, they will lose front three, who are slowly starting to break away. Even that, the top two are slowly starting to break away as Emily Jones will lead lap one over the stripe.
They're already snaking all over the straight. Emily Jones is keeping that car pinned to the right-hand side wall. Does not want to leave an outside line there for an inside line for Ashton Caddick, but Ashton's going to try and carry as much pace as possible there. Slots in behind. Tice Hodge takes a lot of advantage of that battling at the front, as you mentioned. He had no one really in front or behind him by virtue of a couple of car lengths, so he was able to take his full racing line, and he's pulled right up onto this pack to make it a three-car battle for the lead.
Yeah, awesome racing. Again, by the Hyundai themselves. If you look at Caddick trying to capitalise and make a move on Emily Jones, who's doing a stellar job out front, trying to hold off and capitalise from her pole position start.
The good thing about racing at this time of day is when they come through that flip-flop, you can see the wheel work. You can see just how hard these drivers have to work. As we see, this is the battle for fourth position here. Tabitha Ambrose in the 199, just trying to hold off the 36 of William Sala and Harry Strick behind them. So this is another great battle that's panning out for the positions just outside of the podium. But if the top three keep battling, these trains might form up.
Yeah, let's see what happens this time by in the front straight as Ambrose leads over that battle for fourth, fifth and sixth between the 199 and the 36 of William Sala, and just behind him is the 630 of Harry Strick, who's made up a number of positions from position number 9 on the grid.
Just in the background, we see the 124 of Jack Johnson, as you mentioned, pulling off into the pits to call it a day, which is unfortunate. But meanwhile, we see Sala blocking on the inside as Harry Strick tries to go around the outside. He's going to have to tuck back in here as they go through turn one. He won't have the pace to carry it all the way around. We saw a lot of great side-by-side action at Phillip Island last time out, but there's just one racing line through turn one here at Calder Park, and it's the inside.
Yeah, you're right. And over James Hill they go. Ambrose again leading this battle with Harry Strick and William Sala. Through the flip-flop they go. You can see the wheel work, especially when these guys have white gloves. You can see how much they're having to pedal these cars through there to gain as much time and to not lose the rear end and spear off into the grass. But up the inside is Harry Strick. Beautiful move down into turn number 6 on Sala.
They're a lot of hard work, these cars. Like they look unassuming. They're Hyundai XLs. They don't have a huge amount of power, relatively speaking, compared to other race cars, and they are front-wheel drive. But they've got very, very skinny tyres. They weigh about as much as a tissue. And the momentum is so important around a track like Calder Park, which is such a high-speed track. So all these drivers are putting in the most effort they possibly can just to keep the thing glued on the track, pointing in a straight line. You don't want to start sliding these cars. You don't want the back end to be stepping out, because even though you can recover it pretty easy, you lose so much time in these Hyundai XLs. So that's why we're seeing everyone keeping it really nice and neat and tidy. All these young drivers are very, very good at what they do, and this Hyundai XL category is just such a good place for them to test their skill in these evenly matched, very affordable racing cars.
Yeah, very affordable racing cars, like you said. Quite a step up if you want to make it to Formula Ford, but Formula Ford being more of a national category is sometimes some halfway to go. As we see, Tabitha Ambrose will make the step, we believe, into Formula Ford next year. She's trying to fend off the Ravage Raceworks car of Harry Strick down into turn number 7, parks him all the way over to the white line, and Strick's already got the move done. What can Sala do? Can he capitalise on Ambrose's misfortune? No, he can't, and this battle rages on.
They're pretty fortunate with the left-right through that corner there, or the right-left, I should say. You're able to, if you get past, you're able to slide right out to the outside line and just block off, so you don't lose too much more pace there. So Tabitha Ambrose won't lose too much position, but she does drop back to 5th position as a result. Let's take stock. It's Ashton Kadich across the line who leads by 0.5 of a second because they're side by side, the 13 and the number 6. And look at the 185. He looks to be about 3 suburbs back, but he still wants to have a look. That's just how long this straight is at Calder Park. If you've got the momentum, you can probably try to launch a challenge from a long way back. Emily Jones is really taking advantage. It almost looks to be a bit of biff and barge between the two, but it's just such a bumpy turn one that these things are getting thrown around like nobody's business. Kadich just holds the line as they cross the apex into James Hill, but look at Tice Hodge in the 185. He's trying to make it 3 wide over the top of the hill. That certainly won't go through the flip-flop, so they are going to pull back in line astern. But Jones has dropped from 1st to 3rd in the space of 3 quarters.
Yeah, these guys and girls, Jones having her ears boxed there is around the outside is going to be Tice Hodge. He does need to think a little bit about the championship with his championship leader, of course, not running this weekend. He's just got to be smart. Can't afford a DNF at round 6 of the Victorian State Racing Series at Calder. But onto the front straight, it'll be Kadich who will lead Tice Hodge. Emily Jones will be furious having dropped back to 3rd from 1st in 1 lap.
And it's not just a 3-car battle for the lead anymore. Look at this battle for 4th, which is caught right on the back. Harry Strick wants a bit of the action for the lead of this race as well. He has the pace. We've seen him making moves on that pack for 4th position all race long so far, and now he has a chance to make a move up to the front over the next few laps. They don't have much time left, but they'll still get about 4 or 5 laps in. Kadich side by side. Tice Hodge holds around the outside there, has to drop back just a little bit. Emily Jones is going to try to capitalise, but they're going to have to slot in line astern as well. We've seen a lot of great use of different racing lines through this turn 2 and 3 complex here. Just behind them, we've seen a pass. I believe that was James Serra, who may have been having a look there. That was the battle. No, that was actually the battle for 5th position there. So, sorry, for 6th position. So, yeah, action all the way up and down.
Yeah, exactly. Down into turn number 6. Can Tice Hodge have a look on a move from to get past Ashton Kadich? Thinks better about it. Now he's had a couple of laps, just very similar to the Formula Vee race that we were just watching before, where the 2nd place car has had a couple of laps to think about how they're going to get past the 1st place car. And in this case, it's Ashton Kadich defending hard from Tice Hodge. Emily Jones in 3rd, and across the stripe it would be the Ravage Raceworks car of Harry Strick in 4th, and then behind them, slight gap to Tabitha Ambrose in the Marcus Ambrose Motorsport 199, and she'll be looking to close up onto this battle for the top 4 down the front straight. Hodge to the outside, but watch Emily Jones down the inside. If Hodge gets hung out to dry here, Emily Jones going to pounce, and that's exactly what she's done. She's gone down the inside into turn number 1, gets back 2nd position. She'll look to slot in here and over James Hill and capitalise on position number 2 and eyes forward onto Ashton Kadich in number 13.
Great racecraft there from the number 6 of Emily Jones. That's thrown a bit of a spanner into the works of the 185 of Tice Hodge as well. We saw last time around his strategy was attack, 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 swarm all over the track and just fill the mirrors of the number 13 of Ashton Kadich. But now there's another car between them, so we get to see what Emily Jones wants to do, and she's going to try the same because Ashton Kadich is just sticking to the defensive. He is making that Hyundai XL as wide as he possibly can as he runs to the exit of the back straight there. A fantastic defensive drive from the number 13.
Yeah, really well done from Ashton Kadich. As we head onto the front straight, this time by it'll be about 1 minute 20 seconds by the time they get to the stripe. Kadich will lead this one, but it'll be Emily Jones who takes that 2nd position from Tice Hodge, Harry Strick, and then Tabitha Ambrose in position number 5 as we look back here between the battle between the 25 and the 327.
That's Lachlan Harvey in the 25 who started in 10th position. We saw that he had a bit of an off at the start of the race, so it's good to see he's recovering some spots. Emily Jones around the outside, lockups. The pressure is on now. These drivers are giving it 105% here as we get towards the closing stages of race 1 here. They're going to be side by side through turns 2 and 3 on the run into James Hill, but Ashton Kadich just has the pace to make them slot all in line behind that black number 13 machine.
I'd say they're even giving 110% early in race number 1. Of course, we've got 2 races to go tomorrow in the final round of round 6 of the Victorian State Racing Series, brought to you by Trico. As we head down the back straight into turn number 6, Kadich will be leading this group. Tice Hodge is looking to get past Emily Jones for position number 2. Can he get the inside running here out of turn number 7 through 8 into 9 and 10, the last complex, but Jones holds that position. Watch the inside, Harry Strick in the 630. Ravage Raceworks down the inside of Tice Hodge, and he could just get that move done, but that'll be disputed by the time they get to turn 1.
Even so, brilliant work to capitalise on that from the number 630 of Harry Strick, who is now side by side with Tice Hodge. But look at Tabitha Ambrose. She wants a piece of this action as well, and she knows that if she sits tight, she's going to have a really, really strong chance of making a push into the podium spots. She has the inside line. I think Tice Hodge might just have the pace here as they go 3 wide on the brakes into turn number 1. A little bit of a puff of blue smoke from the 185. Sits around the outside of Tabitha Ambrose there. They're still side by side, but I think Hodge is just going to have the pace to hold on here. And even the 199 may have to slot in behind the 630. That's exactly right. Not the run through those corners that the number 199 car of Tabitha Ambrose would have been hoping for. And she's fallen in the clutches of Rio Campbell now.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for her. She's had her ears absolutely boxed there. And she's fallen back a number of positions behind Rio Campbell. And we see this battle again. She's going to throw a lunge down the inside. Just needs to be patient about this. Don't throw anything away too early on in the weekend. You can't really afford a DNF because that sets you way back in the field, down to position number 16 if you have a DNF, with all cars running besides Johnson, with a move up the inside by Tabitha Ambrose. The 2 black cars going door to door, sort of banging wheels. Got to keep it a little cleaner than that down the front straight. But the front 2, last lap board being shown as the battle behind them goes 3 wide down the front straight.
What a fantastic battle that is. Those 2 cars of Rio Campbell and Tabitha Ambrose banging doors. But at the front, speaking of banging doors, these 2 are neck and neck for the lead of the race. Emily Jones and Ashton Kadich resuming their battle that we saw in the early stages of this outing. And it's going to have to be Kadich who slots into first position once again through turn 1. This is the final lap. So if Emily Jones wants to get past again, she's only got a few more opportunities and she has to use them very, very wisely. Momentum is so important with the constant lefts and rights around here. Stringing a good sequence of corners together. We saw just how important it is. If you make a big lunge into one corner, you're going to lose all that pace for the next one, and that's going to cost you dearly. So Emily Jones is going to have to play her cards just right, as is Tabitha Ambrose, if she wants to recover some points of her own. Trying to have a look around the outside now of William Sala, the number 36, as they go down the back straight. She's got the position, but I think Sala's got the line, and he will take that lead. So Tabitha Ambrose will have to slot back in behind there. But back at the battle for the front, Kadich has held on to first position from Emily Jones, who is going to have her front bumper all over the back of the number 13 car, but there won't be anything that can be done about it. Ashton Kadich will take the checkered flag to win race 1, just ahead of our pole sitter Emily Jones, her first podium of the season, with Tice Hodge in the 185, only just beating home Harry Strick in the 630 car behind them. Behind them, it's William Sala ahead of Tabitha Ambrose. James Serra, Rio Campbell then finishes in 8th position, dropped a whole 4 spots on that last lap alone. And as the final battling cars come across the line here, Brendan Sala 9th, and the number the 10th, 172 of Samuel Gibson, his first outing in the State Series so far this weekend, rounds out the top 10. What a fantastic race of Excel racing that we saw here today.
As per, it's always good racing in the Excel Series. They always provide amazing action side by side, and this race was very clean. Maybe besides the first lap, which is always expected in any racing series, but these guys have had a big tune-up and they've cleaned up their act and provided an amazing race for race 1 of their final round at Calder Park, at Trico Calder Park.
Fantastic stuff. We will see the Hyundai XLs back out on track again tomorrow, but in the meantime, let's take a look at those results. Ashton Kadich, first place, fastest lap with a 113.6 as well, just beating home our pole sitter Emily Jones, with Tice Hodge, Harry Strick, William Sala, Tabitha Ambrose on return to the Hyundai XLs in 6th position, ahead of James Serra, Rio Campbell, Brendan Sala, and Samuel Gibson. And that just goes to show just how important it is to hold that momentum, because those positions can just shuffle and change in an instant. It's always tight racing here in Hyundai XLs. We can't wait to see you for more action in the XLs tomorrow, but before then, we've got so much more racing today. Coming up next, we have the Sports Sedans for a 13-minute plus 1 lap race of their own. Tom, fantastic to have you in the booth once again. My name has been Matt Dunlop, and we will be back with some more action after a short break in round 6 of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships, brought to you by Trico Windshield Wipers and Triple 8 Home Loans. Don't go anywhere.
Since being the first to make wipers over a century ago, Trico has protected drivers in all kinds of weather. Torrential downpours, gale force winds, wintry blasts, even when it's raining cats and dogs. Hey, who came up with that phrase anyway? Just imagine if it actually started... Alright. No matter what the conditions, Trico wipers maintain maximum windshield contact for safe, clear driving visibility, even in the harshest weather metaphors.
Welcome back trackside here at Calder Park Raceway. We're northwest of the Melbourne CBD. Very, very close to the Tullamarine International Airport. So we do see a fair bit of aeronautical displays as we have our final round for the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships, brought to you by 888 Home Loans, and round 6 brought to you by Trico Windscreen Wipers. Great to have two very loyal sponsors on board. Trico jumping on at the last round at Phillip Island and here again today, and we look forward to growing the series in season 2025 with both those sponsors on board, and putting the message out there that we are certainly looking for other commercial partners and entities to join in the series for 2025. It is certainly tapping into a massive community in the automotive industry, but widely it is a very, very popular form of motorsport within Australia that I'm going to say above grassroots, because I guess a club sprint meeting is right there at grassroots, but certainly we see a lot of competitors racing in this series amongst these categories for 20, 30, 40 years, and along the way having a big journey. And I say 30, 40 years because in this one, out of position number 5 is car number 56. It's Rand McGlurkin Senior, and he's been around for quite some time. Used to race Bolwells in sports cars in the 70s and 80s, and it's great to see him out in what is an American-bred type of TA sort of sports sedan in his black Corvette. I'm Darren Smith. Matt Dunlop thought he was jumping off air. He's remained right alongside me for this sports sedan race, but I guess this is quite different to the previous few categories that we've had. This is a bespoke formula. There's not one of these cars that can share parts with another. Maybe a water pump or maybe a steering wheel or something like that, but these cars are bespoke beasts, and they are bespoke to Australian motorsport. It's not really replicated anywhere else in the world, and we really do see individual engineering prowess step up in sports sedans. Very, very fast, big wings, big slicks, Chev 6 litres, 2 litre Hondas, triple rotors, twin rotors, and just everything in between. 6-cylinder turbocharged cars, ex-supercars that race in the category as well. So fantastic to see sports sedans coming out. And well, it's quite a long time ago now, 54 I think years since the inception of the sports sedan category, and we've got Chris Neal, who was one of the original people on board with sports sedans. So a big shout out to Chris, and he's got a Facebook page, the 50 years of sports sedans, and they really enjoy celebrating those landmark category years. So it's great to have Chris and some of the more experienced competitors still come to the track and have a bit of a look on. Ian Baird is also here, previous president of the category. Great to see Eno's back at the track, a major player in those first couple of 12-hour races at Bathurst with Phoenix Racing. So it's good to see Beardo here. His dad was a founding member of the Sports Sedan Association. So steeped in history and lots of engineering, sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes winning, sometimes not even finishing. But that is what the bespoke formula of sports sedans is all about, Matt.
It's certainly a big departure from what we saw just previously, the Hyundai XLs, in so many regards, from one-make racing to this in what I think is like just an engineering form of just personal expression. You get a lot of drivers and then builders who like to build cars to their own, their sort of style, their own sort of taste. Like, as you said, we've got such variety from a car like, Dean Kem's famous Corvette, which we've seen thundering around tracks for quite some time, to that Mini Cooper a bit further down in the field, which is spitting flames out of its four-banger out of the back there, both going toe-to-toe. And you speak of history in this category as well. Look at this facility. Look at the history that we're dealing with here. This place, if these concrete walls could talk, they would have so many stories to tell about the names and the vehicles that have been around this tarmac. Even
the original flat track, which we can't actually see now. So turn 1 is basically halfway down the long straight here, where the old Marlboro series, I'm not sure we're allowed to even say that anymore, but I did, used to run, and there was $100,000 worth of prize money up for sports sedans, and there was the likes of Jim Richards and Alan Jones, even Peter Brock and Alan Grice, that raced in sports sedans in that era. We talk about the difference and iterations of the cars. The first two rows are wildly different. We've got Brett Dickey, who for the last couple of years has been over to Pikes Peak, taking on the run up the hill there at Pikes Peak and acquitting himself brilliantly. And he's actually on pole in his turbocharged 2-litre Honda Prelude, right alongside Dean Cam's 6-litre Chevrolet Camaro. Behind, this is one of the interesting ones, and this is that engineering prowess, or that engineering expression you touched on, Matt. Travis Condon, a V8 powered Corolla. A V8 powered Corolla. Francois Habib in an ex-supercar. Rand McGlurkin in a Corvette, like a Trans Am type of Corvette, right alongside a Camaro. Chas Talbot, definitely a Trans Am style Corvette. So just so many different iterations of engineering and expression and personality, because you stand next to a sports sedan at the end of the race, and apart from the heat, there's a bit of personality coming out in each and every one of these cars as we see them roll out into pit lane for Bollard's Direct. It will be Brett Dickey. I think this is the first time he's put this car on pole. Certainly is here at Calder, and this has been a magnificent build process he's taken on with his dad, his brother, and other partners that helped the Dickey family. Big shout out to Mel and to his son and daughter, and they are here at the track watching on as Brett will take up pole position. Dean Cam is very, very familiar with the front row of the grid here in sports sedans and does a brilliant job of it. The car is going to be exceptionally hard to beat on the run down into turn one. Dean hardly ever loses the whole shot. Here is the grid. The Bollard's Direct and ACL race bearings. Brett Dickey in car number 29. The 66 of Dean Cam, sponsored by his wallet, and 5-Star Fencing is Dino's business. Travis Condon from Northern Soda Blast, and this is a massive story. After the last round, blew an engine at Phillip Island. He had a fire, so Travis has had just such a torrent time of it in season 2024. He's still trying to rummage some support and sponsors to get to Bathurst in November this year. So if you've got some interest, head down and see the driver of car number 8. Francois Habib in the number 23, reigning champion. He's bought the ex-supercar. There he is there, car number 23. Rand McGlurkin Senior in the 56. That is that black Corvette, massive rear wing on it with Chas Talbot right in behind in that Camaro there as well. Two cars with sort of similar heritage coming out of North America and being sports sedan eyes so that it can be raced locally here. Greg Lynch is the next one on the grid there. Paul Koenig in a V8 LS powered yellow RX-7. There's an interesting iteration, isn't it? A V8 powered RX-7. Michael Luff in the white Commodore. Rand McGlurkin Jr., if you like. He is in the Penrite Autobarn Sunbury. There he is right there, the Grim Ruiner. The scribble pattern out there as well. Got lots of tattoos. Famous for his tattooing business. Great to see the Calibra out on track there. The ex-McGuinness car. And it's actually got a bit of history with the car that sits behind it on the grid with Graham Gilliland. Adrian Reed is the Mini that you were talking about. Darden Brown and John Ippolito rounding out the field. And his wife is the sponsor of car number 97. They bring themselves down onto... No, they're going around for another roll around, starting under safety car. Of course, it's going to be a rolling start for their first race for the weekend. And this will be very interesting. In fact, if Brett Dickey can play his cards right and ride the boost on the Bollard's Direct Honda, he will certainly be able to try and match the poke that the Corvette has in a straight line. I'm going to watch these two, this black Corvette and this blue and yellow Camaro there. As I said, they're coming out of row 3, and that is going to hold a lot of interest throughout this one. Of course, the time certain clock starts ticking as soon as they roll out of pit exit, so this is really going to be a short, sharp affair, Matt Dunlop.
It certainly is. One thing that I've been wondering, in all honesty, having watched the rest of the racing that's happened so far today, is looking, we can't see it on camera at the moment, but we'll see it as the cars peel onto the front straight. That patch of tarmac, that bumpy patch of tarmac, just at the exit of the drag strip launching area. Darren, you've been around sports sedans for quite a long time, obviously. What would it be like thrashing a 6-point-something litre V8 over that at full pelt, trying to get as much traction down as possible, going over a slick, bumpy bit of concrete there on the run to the main straight? How important is it to nail down your line and get the momentum just right there?
Well, 6 litre it would be, nothing over, because the rules stipulate 6 litre, but it was tricky. They've cleaned all that up, so I guess that's removed a little bit of that guessing game, Matt, but I think we're about to find out. I think we're about to see how that starts to play out. Brett Dickie does control the pace here. Have a look at Dean Cam. He's wildly on and off the throttle, just trying to make sure he's got the rear tyre temperature that he needs to head down into turn one. Either that, or he's got more experience at rolling starts. Being an ex-national competitor, he knows about the rolling starts. Brett has got the pace here. Dean needs to just pull himself back from that a bit. So they get away. Green lights on. Dean was set his nose just in front of the Honda there. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Cam gets it, of course. The 6-litre Chevy just monsters right over in front of the 2-litre turbocharged car. But Brett gets a good run down. It's all for position 3. Travis Condon just eases out wide in car number 8, looking for a sponsor on the side of that bright green car. And who wouldn't want their name on that car? It attracts so much attention. Travis himself attracts a whole lot of attention for all the good reasons as well. Across the top of the hill, burning the midnight oil, that team, to get that car ready here this weekend. And it looks like nothing's ever even went wrong. There we have it, the curb cam. All the sports sedans got tons of grip. They don't run that far wide. Brett Dickie looks to the inside on Cam. And Travis Condon looks to the inside on Brett Dickie, but they all fall back into line. Garrett turbocharged sticker and blazing down the side. It will be boiling hot in the engine bay of Brett Dickie. This is the bit of track you're talking about, Matt. It's been cleaned and they ride the bumps. It's the Dickie Honda that just had a little bit of extra bounce around there. I would say the Corvette of Dean Cam, they've allowed a little bit of compliance into the back of the Corvette. Have a look at the turbo car. Wind it up. This is like the Beninca Alpha of old. It's going up the hill at Sandown, right round the outside, locks it up there and just gets it done. Brett Dickie managing to hold on. He's wound it up a little bit hard. Condon puts the nose in there. Dickie just shuts the door in car number 8. Gets the job across the top of the hill there. The turbocharged car taking it to these normally aspirated V8s.
Ducking and weaving all over the track, trying to find a way past here. Nailing that curb through the flip-flop as well was Travis Condon in the number 8 Corolla there. Fantastic to see that car in full pelt. And it's also just brilliant to see the differences in these cars and how the gap compresses and extends at different parts of the track here at Calder Park. There's so many varied aspects to this as we see Condon just trying his best to get up the inside of number 29, Brett Dickie there. And that number 29, that turbo is just really coming in strong here as they head onto the main straight for the second time in anger here at Calder Park. It is still Dean Cam who leads this one ahead of Brett Dickie, who's trying his best to just keep that foot down. But Dean Cam is parking that car well and truly on the right-hand side of the track. Does not want to let anyone get past him because he knows how much pace that turbocharged Honda has.
Brett will be absolutely loving this, as will Dean. They'll have smiles like a rat with a gold tooth, they will, those two at the moment. The turbocharged car just coming into its own in a straight line. They're turning up the wick. This is just back down outside the top 5 now. Greg Lynch, the dentist from the northern suburbs, takes it up to the wily veteran, Chaz Talbot. Yes, if you've just come to the racetrack and you haven't been to one for 40 years, it's the same bloke that used to race for Formula 5000 here. So yes, Chaz Talbot, currently in P5. This is a great result, but he's coming under fire now. It's Johnny Polito. He's charging his way through the field. Michael Luff following him through. Rand McGlurkin Jr. in the mirrors here. The Grim Ruiner.
It's an awesome looking car, that Calibra there. It's such a beast to see watch go around this Calder Park racetrack, and indeed the rest of the racetracks that we race out here in the Sports Sedan Series. All over the back of Chaz Talbot in that Camaro there. Wants to get as best of a run as he possibly can. Over the bumps there, onto the main straight. There's a beautiful day for racing. The air was pretty cold this morning. The track has been warm all day, so you're getting very, very quick lap times day in, day out. That is Rand Senior, and he's got a tyre down on the rear right.
Well, that is not what we wanted to see. The Corvette from Adorable Catering, not what he came here to do. That's a real shame. You're not going to make an entire lap like that. You'll start tearing the bodywork off. Here we go here. Have a look at this. Graham Gilliland has snuck through now on Rand McGlukin in the Calibra. And Rand said to me earlier, Chaz Talbot's now extended the track as well. He's found the runoff road.
Is that the
exit
of one?
Turn 1, right down the bottom of the hill there. So back to the lead now. Brett Dickie all over the back of Dean Cam. Let's see if the turbocharged car, they were running a mild boost package at Phillip Island at the last round. And I'm telling you that they are not running mild boost. I'm going to have an argument with Brett at the end of this one, but that chasing down the Corvette, that is not a mild boost package that they're running there on that Honda. And we saw 2 laps ago a little bit of a pinch up on the right front, on the front of Brett's car. But Travis Condon and Francois Habib forever knocking on the door. They're just tapping. You guys want to make a mistake and we will absolutely nail you. The ex-supercar just struggling to get up over Jane Hill. But Travis Condon getting powered down, no wheel spin, up on the ripple strip there, driving it like a Corolla should be, like it was stolen, and trying to have a look up the inside. Down the outside now, Brett Dickey and the Bollards direct. White Honda, used to be black and gold. I think the white Honda suits a Honda better than black and gold. And Condon looks to the inside, puts the nose in. Brett Dickey just sweeps across. Gee, that shot gives it a look like they're just about to hit each other there, but it was a good metre or so of clearance there. Let's have a look at this. There's Chaz Talbot. He's just heading down the bottom of the straight. I would suggest Chaz has run out of brakes there, the way he's just pulling off to the side there.
Very
That's
clearly
a shame.
something wrong with that number 12 Camaro, which is a shame. What is most fortunate is he hasn't ended up pitched in a fence or a wall somewhere like that, and he's able to bring the thing to a stop. We don't want to see cars not finishing these races, but it's a very hard track on a car here because you're going full pelt. It's so crucial to be able to, it's full throttle for a large majority of the lap here. As we see some great scrapping continuing between the number 29 and the number 8 here of Dickey and Condon. And that's what I mean when it's hard on the cars. They're smashing these curves. They're driving these things like they stole them, like you said, because they're all giving 110%.
This is a big challenge here from Condon. He's not positioned nicely, though. That's going to make him fall back in behind. What this is doing is this is grabbing Brett Dickey's attention away from the job at the front of him. Condon just peppering the back of the Honda. Absolutely got the shaker out and just pouring on the pressure onto the white Honda now. He is chasing down Dean Cam for points in this championship. Dino is lining up. He's got his hands out for the trophy, ready to take it home at the end of this weekend. But Travis Condon going into the last round at Phillip Island sadly did that engine, and that gave Dean Cam 3 from 3 and consolidated a very strong lead in the championship. This is why Travis Condon has been burning the midnight oil for 3 weeks now since the last round. Pinches up a right front that time around, and he wants to get Brett Dickey. Flames out of the back of the turbocharged car now. That's just given him 10% more pace.
It certainly is. Jeez, I tell you what, you speak of Phillip Island, Travis Condon has been a roller coaster of fortunes for him. He had the fire the first time out this season, had a race win that same weekend as well, and then had the engine failure last time out, as you said. So his fortunes have changed, obviously, quite dramatically here. So far, it's obviously early doors in the weekend, but Travis Condon is having a hell of a time so far, battling for second position, currently sitting in third. He's having a great weekend. That car must be feeling sensational under him as they approach a bit of lap traffic. This will make things a little bit interesting for this lead battle here as they slot past Adrian Reed in that Leyland Mini, which is getting monstered down the straight here by all these V8 machines.
Guys did very, very well there. Darden Brown and Reed, they're just getting out of the way in that turbocharged Mini. An absolute masterpiece of engineering, that Mini. Darden Brown, an under 2 litre car, does a brilliant job mixing it up with the outright cars and should be commended in his Galant for the pace that he always shows. Brett Dickey is now ranged up back onto the back of Dean Cam. Our first 4 cars covered off by exactly 2 seconds at the moment. The first 3 cars is 1.1 seconds. So there it is. There's your podium, ladies and gentlemen. Cam, Dickey, Condon, and no guarantees they're going to finish the race in that particular order.
You could throw a blanket over them, and we would have, watching from the start of this race, I would have assumed that Dean Cam was going to find a gap, wait for Dickey and Condon to battle all day behind him and just streak away at the front. But that's not to be. Dean Cam has not been able to break away from this pack. And even Francois Habib at the number 23 is on for a shot here if he gets a lucky break, but they won't have a whole lot of time. The clock has ticked to 0 and they've got the last lap board. But look at the run that Brett Dickey has around the outside of Dean Cam. He's going to have the line as they go into turn 1. Can Dean Cam pull it back up on the inside though? They're going to be side by side, and I think it's going to be the number 66 Corvette who pulls back inside. But what an exit to the last corner that was for the number 29 machine.
Francois Habib showing the nose there as well, so the supercar will have a ton of data around here. Those teams used to test here all the time back in the day. Condon cresting the hill, left and right. Dickey will not want to see lime green for the next 6 months, the way it's been flaming around the back of his car. That lime green has got it absolutely everywhere. Up the outside now. Gee, Dean Cam is positioning his car so well. Track position, track position, track position. And that number 66 Corvette has got it. It's like real estate. Location, location, location. And Dino, well, he does dabble in a bit of real estate on the side there, so maybe he's using all of that to his advantage as well. Onto the straight they come. Sports sedans wide open. Turbocharge goes to the outside again. Try the inside, Brett. Let's see if we can get you going to the inside. And that is the checkered flag. And it is going to be Dean Cam by 0.0822 of a second.
Unbelievable finish that was. Brett Dickie will be kicking himself. I'm sure he was giving it 110%. And speaking of, look at this battle here between Graham Gilliland and Rand McClurkin Jr. I think Gilliland's going to get the benefit of this one as he crosses the stripe in 7th position to take the stripe there. Rand McClurkin Jr. in 8th position with Paul Koenig in his first outing of this car, I believe, in 9th. A very, very respectable finish in that car as we see a Commodore back there just throwing a little bit of smoke. So not an ideal race for that machine who is crossing the stripe now, but that was a very, very exciting race one here of the the Victorian Sports Sedan Series, I should say. Darren Smith, I'm sure you loved it as much as I do, but very, very dejected Chaz Talbot down there with that number 12 machine.
It is a shame. Chaz loves coming to the racetrack. In fact, it's his happy place and has been for many years. I'm not going to put a number on it. But here we have it. By 0.08 of a second, Dean Cam takes it in the 5-star fencing Corvette to Brett Dickie in the Bollards direct entry. Travis Condon gets his way in the Northern Soda Blast Toyota Corolla into P3. Francois Habib beats home Greg Lynch to John Ippolito, who did a terrific job in the end. Graham Gilliland home in 7th, breezing home Rand McClurkin Jr. in the 54 in the orange and black Calibra. Paul Koenig, Michael Luff rounding out our 10 in his white Commodore. So that sees Sports Sedans for their first race for the day done and dusted. You'll see the Sports Sedans again tomorrow morning at 11:15 for their race number 2, and again tomorrow afternoon for the Groove Train Eastland Sports Sedans. Travis Condon deserves a round of applause, and he's getting it as he comes down pit lane after all the work they've done over the last couple of weeks. We'll catch our breath because we have got coming up on track next Saloon Cars. Emma Dean will be back on with me for the next one. Thank you very much, Matt.
Pleasure to be with you. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Since being the first to make wipers over a century ago, Trico has protected drivers in all kinds of weather. Torrential downpours, gale force winds, wintry blasts, even when it's raining cats and dogs. Hey, who came up with that phrase anyway? Just imagine if it actually started... Alright. No matter what the conditions, Trico wipers maintain maximum windshield contact for safe, clear driving visibility, even in the harshest weather metaphors.
Victorian Saloon cars always turning on the heat. That little package there, that was just from qualifying this morning here at Calder Park, Nat. So over a season's worth of highlights, and I tell you what, they always turn on a ripping show. There is the world-renowned Thunderdome, Calder Park, Melbourne. I remember when those seats were all full of screaming Oscar, NASCAR, HQ fans, and we used to have thousands of people here at Calder. The paddocks around the place absolutely jam-packed. This is round 6 of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. Yeah, we got some fans here, but not quite all filling the seats around the place. But certainly if you're watching the live stream that we put out across the world via the Blendline TV networks, we would love to see you out here. There's our fans. G'day everybody up there on the hill. Hope you're enjoying round 6 of the 888 Home Loans Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. And there's a big thumbs up from a Holden fan down in front of me. I wonder if he knows they don't make cars anymore. But it's plenty of racing still here today to go. And we've had the sports sedan, so the big bangers have been on. MG and invited British cars and HQs will round out our racing here today. Big shout out to Trico windscreen wipers for all of their support over the last couple of rounds. But 888 Home Loans. You need to get the pulse taken on your home loan, and who doesn't? I'm about to leap into the big wide abyss there as well. So give them a call at 888 Home Loans. Here is our broadcast program. Of course, we opened up with the Porsche 944s, and we saw Jamie Westerway park it up down at turn number 1. That was a shocker for him. BMW E30's improved production turned on a ripper. Tonksy took out the win there. Formula V, fantastic excitement as always. Hyundai XL's doing Hyundai XL things for their race earlier. Sports sedans, well, that was a ripper at the front. Dean Camp, Brett Dickey, Travis Condon, and Francois Habib in the Groove Train Eastland Sports sedans doing a tremendous job. We're just watching now in the pit lane now as we see Chas Talbot's Camaro coming back on Kev the Towie, 0405 230 714. Kev the Towie, big supporter of Victorian motorsport. If you need a tow, look him up. Saloon cars on track next. Again, a 13-minute timed affair. As our course cars from Southern BMW just checking to make sure the track is clean from the sports sedans. And then we go into the MG and invited British cars. Great field of them here today. A couple of big banger MGB GT V8s on the menu and HQs for their last race of the day. I'll bring in Emma Dean now, who's been part of the rich fabric that has been the 2024 Victorian Saloon Car Series. Emma, your thoughts going into, this is the final round of the State Series for saloon cars.
First thought, that was far too complimentary, Darren. But yeah, saloon cars. The last time I was at Calder, we had 2 straights, technically. And now, since the upgrades, there's a turn 2 and 3. There's a bit of a kink, and now there's a flip-flop. So these guys are going to have 2-wheel action over that, which I'm looking forward to seeing. So when we come out of this really long, fast straight into the hairpin, we've got turn 2 and 3, which these guys will just kind of chew up. I can't wait to see that.
I think you're right there, and I think earlier on, we've got about half a dozen pro photographers here today, and right now I can see 5 of them all over there at the flip-flop. They're all looking to take photos of the exhaust systems underneath the saloon cars as they bounce their way through the hashtag Trico flip-flop. If you're going to engage with us, check us all out at the Victorian State Race Series on your social medias and use the hashtag Trico. Just let everyone know that you're watching on, and we'll give you a very big special prize. We'll continue racing right throughout 2025 off the back of that. So hashtag Trico, let us know you're watching. It'd be great to see how many people out there via the hashtag, and we can get this party started. Bradley Vaughan for Harris Racing, car number 85. We'll start off pole position with Travis Lindorff for Casey Accident Repairs. Car, I went past Casey Accident Repairs not that long ago. It's a very impressive place they've got there. Very impressive indeed. I'm sure they're going to need an air compressor serviced or buy a new air compressor at some stage. Panel shops do need to have a good air compressor, so just putting that out there as well.
Drop a hint, Darren.
Yeah, just putting it out there as well.
Adam Lowndes, our category leader in 3rd. Kane Baxter Smith the Disruptor in 4th. We've got, who else have we got? We've got Daniel Johnson in 5th, Kerry Bright in 6th, Blake Harris in 7th, Jaden Jamison in 8th, Tony Ordino in 9th, Andrew McSwain in 10th from Drive Events. Number 11 is James Jaski, did I say that right?
Yeah.
And number 12, Brett Tate.
You've got to say it right because the next guy's a solicitor or a lawyer, so you've got to get it right there.
Christopher Jackson. No, that's always tiling. Christopher Jackson in 13th, Keegan Gaunt in 14th, Darren Kuritzis in 15th, and Justin Shembry rounding out the pack in 16th.
Good field, actually. This is a really top-looking field. How are we looking points-wise for the season coming into this first race for round 6 of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships for Triple 8 Home Loans and Trico windscreen wipers, Em?
Well, Darren, Adam Lowndes is leading the pack with 449 points, with Kane Baxter Smith on 393, Travis Lindorf on 383, and Kieran Pridmore on 371. So I think for today's race there's 30 points, and will that be the same for race 2 tomorrow, and then race 3 I think it's 40 points. So the top 4-5 could be mucked about. So you never know, Darren. We could get some outliers. Daniel Johnson in 5th, Jacob Prestopino in 6th, Kerry Bright in 7th, Justin Shembry in 8th, James Jaski in 9th, and Sean Jamison in 10th. No Prestopino this weekend.
Yeah, that's an interesting situation. He's been an absolute front runner, and I'm going to almost say hands down the excitement factor.
Yeah, elbows everywhere.
Yeah, elbows out. It's like running through the rugby union pack, isn't it, with Prestopino. Exciting race. I really do like watching that. In fact, big shout out to Dan McCarthy and yourself who have been calling the Saloon cars this season. Dan has done such a terrific job that another promoter has given him a job this weekend. So he has taken that one up. He's gone up to one raceway. So shout out to Dan. Hope you're enjoying yourself up there, mate. We're having a ripping time here at Calder Park this weekend. Bradley Vaughan out of pole position. Some say this is a spot that he won't relinquish for the entire weekend. A really strong race driver. Not so much an elbows out guy, but can respond if prodded. Kind of like a snake. You know, you leave them alone, they'll go off into the sunset. You give them a poke in the eye and they will come out attacking you. I'm very, very interested to see the third row of the grid with Daniel Johnson. He's trying desperately to defend that number 1. He worked so very hard last season to get that sticker on his door, and he really doesn't want to have to pay for new stickers to go on that one. He represents this category and everything it stands for so brilliantly, and I really want to see Daniel have a good run. He had a good run here at Calder Park last year, so let's see how the black and yellow AU Falcon can go off the third row of the grid. Blake Harris in behind him as well in the 21, looking for big things from that Falcon. Interestingly enough, we haven't got a lot of history of saloon cars racing here. The category didn't exist in the previous iteration that was Calder Park, so we've only got the results from the racing here last year, so it doesn't really give us a strong form guide as to whether the FOMO Co or the General is going to be the better product to have. But the cars are all but in line. Last car hauls up now. We wait for the officials at the back of the grid. Tough day in the sun out there for our volunteer officials. We go back to the lights. On, hold, and off. Beautiful starter there, and it gets away nicely. Have a look at Travis Lindorf. Brains him off the line. Lowndes goes with him as well. So Adam Lowndes looks to the middle of the track here. Boy, this looks like a 1997 touring car round as they go rocketing down into turn number 1. Just replace some of the signs with Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, and that's what it used to look like here. Harris entry there, car number 85, Bradley Vaughan holding on there, but what a ripping start from car number 51, Travis Lindorf. They go through up onto Jane Hill now, really labouring up the hill there. The inline 6s, the V6s. Daniel Johnson just going to be given a short back and sides. Can't go side by side through there, but gives the photographers a good look at the underside of his car. A couple of cars going wide there as our curb cam just picks them up there. But it will be Travis Lindorf that gets into the right-hander at the bottom of the straight. Comes around through the Trico complex. It's a right, left, and then this right-hander. Tricky corner to get right here. It can have 1, 2, 3, 4 apexes. You can have a spin. You can end up over the back of the ripple strip. But the whole field gathers their way up. Lap 1 led by Travis Lindorf to Vaughan. Kane Baxter Smith, upper spot. Daniel Johnson, upper spot. But it's Lowndes that just goes back one spot now. So battling very, very hard. Lindorf getting the start that he really wanted in the 51.
Oh, a bit of a lock up there. Yeah, Darren, this last turn before the straight comes is actually quite tricky, and a lot of the drivers have been talking to me about still trying to get their heads around it. They're not in the cars all the time. They're not at Calder all the time. So mastering that last turn for them is actually quite tricky.
It is a tough gig. I can attest to that. That last corner does challenge you because it compromises your setup for the rest of the track there, because it's quite flowing, whereas the rest of the track is short, sharp jabs at the wheel, jabs at the throttle. And two very long, push the throttle to the metal and hold it down there. Daniel Johnson looking now to the inside now, and Kane Baxter Smith in the 56. There's the 19 of Adam Lowndes. He's gone down one spot, started out of 4th, finds himself in 5th. He will certainly fight back in the Pro Plum entry. Terrific race driver. In fact, there's 3 of them here. Baxter Smith, Johnson, Lowndes, Jamison off the back of this mob as well. But it is Travis Lindorf, Trico, seeing you through up on the leaderboard there. Oof. That has got a run at it. Daniel Johnson, lights ablaze. Looks like the 56 has got a black eye there as well. So Kane Baxter Smith only one driving light on. Car number 1 both blazing as they come around the back part. You can hear the transmissions whining as they come around through this part of the hill. Massive load for a saloon car trying to get up the hill there. It's almost like they're towing a caravan.
Yeah, you can really hear the strain, but I'm guessing these guys are thankful for the new additions to the track, because the 2 straights, trying to pull up at the end of them, they'd need a hell of a lot of brakes to get around those turns.
Certainly the flip-flop, the Trico flip-flop is different to what it used to be. 2 wheels off on the dirt now for, that was Blake Harris, and just gathering it all back up through that Trico flip-flop onto the straight now. They'll come down, point the nose into it. Here's this tricky bit of track here where they've cleaned off all the old VHT tyre traction treatment they used to put there for the drag races. And down across the line to complete lap number 3. Lindorf leads Vaughan to Baxter Smith. Johnson, oh, that's a big one there, and gathers it all up. Beautiful catch there by Brad Vaughan. Was trying to get the lead of the race there, and that has torched a Bridgestone on the front of that car massively. I wonder if it's gone down through to the threads, but certainly through the flip-flop we get a good look underneath the car. Oh, the 56 up in the air.
Good pull up though there, Darren. You don't want to be here screeching tyres coming down into turn 1. It's a bit hairy.
I don't think you want to hear screeching tyres anywhere, but these Bridgestones, these are big heavy cars. I suppose you do. Off the line, screeching tyres.
It's the theatre of it, Darren. But you don't want it down there.
No, that's right. It's a very, very long and fast downhill braking stop there. It's not like Mountain Straight at Bathurst where you're braking going uphill, although you're still doing VMAX, but you're going uphill, not downhill.
Well, Daniel did tell me there is a moment coming down to turn 1 where you actually say, please stop.
Yeah. The pedal just got a bit longer on that lap. We want to haul it up. Here's a great shot from the Blendline TV coverage down into turn 1. The 56 holds it all together. Kane Baxter Smith now. Lowndes to the inside in the 19. My co-commentator getting it more crossed up than the race drivers are out on track at the moment.
Oh, I love seeing it when someone takes a dive down onto turn 1. It's fantastic. And Adam Lowndes, who better to do it than the series leader.
Up over the hill now. Last year's champion. Car number 1, Daniel Johnson, trying dearly. Came back. That's Adam Lowndes. He throws the underside of the car up for all the photographers to have a look at as well. Number 19 now in P5. Here's our race leaders out in front now. Just getting it done at the moment, ticking it off. 4 minutes left on the clock for this one. And the long run down the straight. Lindorf and Bradley Vaughan. Last time round, Bradley Vaughan had a red-hot dip at it. Let's see if he torches that Bridgestone again. It will be like a 50-cent piece. So If he's going to lock it up, it'll always find its way back to that original flat spot, and you'd have to say he had a flat spot. Here's the 56 now. Kane Baxter Smith. Then we go to Adam Lowndes, and it's Daniel Johnson. Here's our leaders. Going into Mount Jane. Turn the page, bookshop down there at Phillip Island, emblazoned down the side of Travis Lindorf's car, number 51. Let's have a look through the Trico flip-flop. A little bit of a look there. These guys are a little bit more concerned about their pace now. They're not bashing it over the curbs. They're actually just trying to smooth it off. Try and keep their pace up the straight nice. It does, as you said, Emma, it does give big demand on the brakes at the stop down at that right-hander.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have been caught unawares this weekend of how demanding this track actually is. Not necessarily high deg or anything, one thing in particular, but it is hard on the car, it's hard on the driver, and with the additions to it, it's actually become quite a technical track. So really exciting to watch these guys figure it out real time as well.
Have a look at this. Brad Vaughan is trying the old I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, all over the back of him. Bit of Roy Kent there. A lock up right front for Brad Vaughan. He's trying every trick in the book. Headlights on. I'm in your left mirror. I'm in your right mirror. Meanwhile, Travis Lindorf's just given the mirror in his car the flick and gone, whatever, mate. I am leading this race in the turn the page bookshop car. They're closer this time. Have a look at this. The 85 of Vaughan right into the rear bumper.
Darren, I just want to give a shout out to, just as he goes past the commentary box, Andrew McSwain had a gearbox change between qualifying and this race, and that's no mean feat.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky, isn't it? Because when they come off the track after qualifying, they're stinking hot, and you've got to start work under there. You've got the gloves on. It's a warm old day here at Calder Park. Just watching our leaders flow through here. There's car number 4. That's Tony Ordino in the Right Way Industrial outfit. And he is chasing down Brighty. And he's trying to get through Kerry Bright. Just got the heels on him now in the connected entry. Great looking livery on that car. In fact, that Commodore just charging down the straight now. That's an idea of how the sun is shining. These cars are glistening. Very, very proud car prep guys in the saloon car field. They like their cars to be shiny and clean. But Travis Lindorf leads now by half a second. Kerry Bright. Lock up by the Tony Ordino car. Of course, Tony races part-time in Super 3. Got a couple of cars in a couple of different categories, but always loves to come back to saloon cars. You can just see him riding it right over the ripple strips here. Let's see how car number 4 gets through the Trico flip-flop. The way he's mounting curves at the bottom end of the track. Bang! Bang! There it is. The AU Falcon soaking up the bumps with a grin.
Yeah, you can really hear that push coming up the hill, can't you, Darren, on the coverage? It sounds a bit strained, but they're working every little bit of that 6.
Back to our race leaders now. Travis Lindorf in car number 51. It is Brad Vaughan in the car 85 behind. Brad Vaughan has just lost a little bit of impetus in this push onto the back of Travis Lindorf. It's probably the biggest gap that we've seen all race long, up 0.6 of a second between these two. But under brakes, the 85 just ranges up. They go up and over the hill, pushing down. They've been quite neat through the Trico flip-flop the last couple of laps, but Brad Vaughan just gives us a good look at what brand of muffler he's running. Not sure what the brand was, but I need new glasses. Gave us a good enough look at it. Harris Racing car number 85 out over the back of the ripple strips there, trying everything. The 94 stays out of the way. That's Gaunt. Beautiful job there by Keegan Gaunt, getting out of the way in the VN Commodore, the older category of these saloon cars. Was certainly the beast to have when saloon cars was a brand new category. But these Commodores out in front now. It looks to be like the Commodore racetrack, doesn't it? Because Baxter Smith is the next Ford on the road. He's 8.6 seconds behind our race leader. So 2 of the Lions are roaring here today. Oh, Brad Vaughan has got it out all over. On our last lap of the race here, the 85 right up the back. Now this is a perfect lunge at it. This will be a very much a lunge at the bottom of the back straight here now for Vaughan. Holding the middle of the track is Travis Lindorf. Around the outside is going to be very interesting indeed. Car's not crust up, fellow commentator is. Absolutely sliding all over the booth. And cars are absolutely on it here. Brad Vaughan looking to go for the inside here. Oh, puts it out. Big slide there. Lights up the Bridgestones on the back. I guess he had some fun doing that, but will certainly surrender the race win to Travis Lindorf. Brad Vaughan will make his way across the line into P2. As always, a terrific race for the Victorian Saloon cars, all on their Bridgestones. Gee, the Bridgestones have had a hammering, haven't they?
Yeah, and I was just about to say that last turn coming onto the main straight, Darren, nothing will make you get that turn right than having someone covering your whole mirror.
That's right.
You can't get it wrong at all.
They stream along to the line now. Great battles right throughout the field. Kane Baxter Smith beats home Adam Lowndes. Daniel Johnson in car number 1 gets home in P5, so he holds his position. It's Kerry Bright that just goes back 2 spots, and Jaden Jamison in car number 5 jumps up a spot there into position number 6. Tony Adino gets through. We've still got Shembry and Brett Tate going for it, and they run on to the Calder Park straight and take the 888 Home Loans checkered flag for their first race for the weekend. Saloon cars will race twice again tomorrow at 11:40 and then again at 3:40. So if you enjoy that, there's some Oz cars. I guess that's what the Saloon cars might throw back to. There it is, the results for Saloon Cars Race 1.
Yeah, so there's a tidy 30 points for Travis Lindorf in first, Brad Vaughan in second, Kane Baxter Smith in close third, Adam Lowndes, Daniel Johnson in fifth, Jaden Jamison in sixth, Kerry Bright 7th, Tony Ordino in 8th, Blake Harris in 9th, Andrew McSwain in the new gearbox in 10th, and then we have Tate in, Jayski in 11th, Tate 12th, Shembry, Jackson, Kritzis and Gaunt to round out Saloon Cars, Darren, race 1.
Thanks very much, Em, and thank you for all of the terrific work you've done right throughout this season. You're not with us tomorrow, are you?
No, I'm not, Darren.
No? Well, there you go. Thank you for all that you have done, and you can go now.
Thank you. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks very much, Emma. We have got plenty more coming your way. Still 2 more races to go. MG and Invited British Cars and HQ's up next. I'm going to catch my breath. We'll be back with more.
Since being the first to make wipers over a century ago, Trico has protected drivers in all kinds of weather. Torrential downpours, gale force winds, wintry blasts, even when it's raining cats and dogs. Hey, who came up with that phrase anyway? Just imagine if it actually started... Alright. No matter what the conditions, Trico wipers maintain maximum windshield contact for safe, clear driving visibility, even in the harshest weather metaphors.
Welcome back trackside here for the final round, Calder Park Raceway of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. Here to celebrate what has been a fantastic year in Victorian circuit racing. Big thanks to Triple Eight Home Loans and of course Trico windscreen wiper blades. If you need better vision, it's because you need a new set of Tricos on your car. Check them out and put them on your car. The MG and invited British cars making their way down the front straight. I'm Darren Smith. Matt Dunlop has kindly jumped into the commentary booth right alongside me. And, well, some cars that by silhouette are a bit of a hark to yesteryear, but once they start to thump the ground, you know you're around modern race cars, don't you?
You certainly do. There's some beautiful MG and invited British machinery all the way up and down this field, and you can just see such a variety of eras of both MG and a few other marques. I think there's a couple of Triumphs floating around here today. Some great variety, and it's always a fun category because even though these cars are, there's a lot of differences between a lot of these machines you're seeing. These drivers aren't afraid to just thrash them and go hard.
They do. They show very little respect for the equipment. They say in the pits, they say, oh yes, we respect our cars. They're getting old and they're hard to get parts for. And then the red mist comes down and it is absolutely on for young and old. Let's have a look at the grid. Phil Chester for Monty Power and Yarra Valley Towing will come out of pole position in that magnificent blue and bright pink MGB GT V8 right alongside car number 1, Mike Trathen, 1300cc MG Midget, the behemoth and the little one on the front row of the grid. Rod Wells to Chris Gidney in the 19 there. Chris Gidney, the MG ZR, the white car in position number 4. Jefferson got John Cox in the number 95. He is in the Austin Healey, he's in the TR7 V8, so there's the Triumph in there. Johnny Makem in the Bennett Signs. Rolling start, away we go. Down the front straight, and it is the MGB GT V8 that will stretch its legs. And here comes St John Cox as well in that TR7, the white car. But what we've got is Michael Trathen in car number 1. Power versus a weight. And the number 1 has got less of everything, horsepower and weight. But have a look at the way they get around the bottom end of the track here. Phil Chester, very narrow into turn number 2 there, and this is where he will show his power. In fact, may even leave a number 11 on the road behind him as he climbs up over the hill. Have a look at this. They come into the Trico flip-flop, 1300cc car number 1. They shoot over our curb camp, and there is the multi-power car of Phil Chester, car number 72. Tips it in on the power, drives it off there. There's John Cox. And then we continue on through the field. There's the 19 of Chris Gidney in his ZR. We look back in behind there, the number 15 of Paul Vernal, also a multi-power entered car. But what we like about that one is it's got the Victorian State Race Series sticker emblazoned on the side and Blendline TV as well. So there's a blazing attempt to get on television.
Certainly is, and it's fantastic to see the support that these drivers are giving because, with us, it's great having all our sponsors on board here in the State Series, but, the drivers are putting the stickers on the sides of the cars. It means a lot, and it means we're able to, get these brands out there in the open. There's Trico stickers on just about every single car you can see here this weekend, which we love to see, and we can't thank Trico enough for having their support. And it means that we can go racing and we can put on a show like this for the passengers in that service rolling past in that train, but also everyone here at Calder Park today enjoying this beautiful weather and these beautiful British machines on track.
Good to see the 350 St Albans is running on time down the train line there off the back of turn 1. Paul Vernal, Blendline TV, there you go. You mentioned the organisation emblazoned across our screens.
I think that was actually Dan Beckinsale on that camera down at the flip-flop, so I'd be very keen to get that sticker up as big as possible.
Johnny Makem there in the number 33 Bennett Sign entry in behind him. Very like car, the Bug-Eye Barn car of Adam Ailiff. Interestingly enough, the Elliott car from Morris Garage in Bayswater has not made its way out onto track. It was an entry here this weekend, I thought it was anyway, but sadly Simon Elliott not on track today, and that's in the ex-Mort Fitzgerald MGB GT V8, which is an open top car. Johnny Makem, position number 2, car number 1 on track at the moment. Mike Trathen with Jefferson John Cox in behind him in position number 3. Could be a good weekend for the TR7 V8. Getting on the power there. And it is Rodney Wells in behind there as well in the grey and green midget. I believe it is called a Spa Aero Kit, or Spa Colours. Spa Challenge Colours there. Down under brakes, JLJ 199. Bravely wears his number plates. Still a registered car, but driven and prepared so very, very well. As they say, you could eat your dinner off the rocket cover of that car, but Phil Chestup is just blazing away out in front. A 107.22. The 104.47 was his qualifying time, so we're a little bit off that. And some may argue that the afternoon sun has slowed the track a little bit, but not for Jefferson John Cox. He gets down the inside of car number 1, bobbles on the bouncy stuff down there at turn 1. That massive ducktail off the back of this car, the Triumph feature. And he wants to just keep in front of number 1, power up over the hill.
Gee, I tell you what, this turn 1, we've been seeing it all day. Just how bumpy it is. Look at the amount of chatter on the number 14 there with Adam Aliff just trying to get the thing pointing in the right direction to get the power back down as he goes into turns 2 and 3. It must be such a handful for all these drivers. And the beauty as well, we talk about, it's a lot of work getting muscling these cars around here. We've got the afternoon sun, as you mentioned. Bearing down from this angle that we're seeing, we get to just see the glove work behind the wheel and just how hard these drivers are having to work to keep these things pointing in the right direction, keeping them managed on the bumps as well. The number 33 there, that's John Makem, turning his head in, angling in to getting the best view of the apex as he possibly can, although he's got the best view in the house there. He's got nothing but fresh air all around him in that machine.
Johnny Makem, of course, joined us as a guest commentator at the last round at Phillip Island, said he can't wait to get back on track there. And the open top car number 33 chasing down Paul Vernell. This is not Paul's normal ride. He's normally got himself a, albeit green, it is a ZR. He's having a go here in the MGF and working pretty hard at the wheel actually there by the looks of things. Johnny Makem slots in behind, and here's Mike Trathen, car number 1. It is not always the mightiest of swords that wins the battle. It is the one that finishes the most races in the highest positions possible, and that's what Mike did last year. An absolute boffin when it comes to MG and MGB midget or MG midget racing. He loves it.
Tell you what, fair battle going on here for 3rd position right now with Jefferson John Cox leading this battle for the last position on the podium in that incredibly angular Triumph TR7 V8 that we've been discussing with that massive ducktail spoiler on the back. A drastic departure from the machine sitting right behind it. The number 60 belonging to Rodney Wells, that MG midget, the bug-eye barn machine there. That's that Spa colour scheme you talked about a little bit. Very synonymous with MG racing, I think, that black and green. Very iconic colours for those. Just trying to have a look up the inside of turn 1 here. Has to slot in behind here as Chris Gidney, the number 19 MG ZRB.
It's used as well as the X-Power livery sort of thing at the colour green. So really cool to see him using it. That Triumph is the V8 that we're hearing, the Rover V8. Just powering out over Jane Hill and just getting in the back of shot there is Chris Gidney in the high-rise Strata MG ZR. And it's monstering into the back now of the midget as they come down into the last complex before they make their way onto the straight. Demon Tweaks, of course, emblazoned on the side of car number 19. Very, very well-known UK-based performance shop. All things motorsport. Terrific website, actually, if you have a look at that. You're looking for any kit. But down the straight comes Triumph of John Cox, TR7. Nice crisp V8 sound out of it. The car in front, a very, very crisp 4-cylinder indeed. Be interesting to see, Matt, in the world of MG midgets, how this particular car number 1 sort of fits in, as far as power and results, I guess. And probably one of the very few that's still regularly getting podiums in racing.
100%. It's been around the traps here at the Victorian State Series for eons and eons, that machine. Michael Trathen's car with the number 1 on the side. It's got the plates on the side, and I'm sure at this point Victoria Police will be clued in. So if they've got a speed camera on the Calder Freeway right next door, they want to just turn it over to this side of the fence to get a bit of revenue. You can grab that plate as it roars down the main straight at however many clicks it happens to be doing by the time it reaches turn 1, because it's a rapid bit of kit. You can see there it's having a quite lovely Saturday drive at this point, up there in second position with a couple of handful of car lengths behind it to St John Cox. So Michael Trathen is quite enjoying himself in that number 1 machine. Still almost half a minute off the back of Phil Chester, who's been smashing the pants off everybody else, all the way up there in the number 72 machine. That thing, if you're trackside, you won't miss it. It looks gorgeous, beautifully presented, and it sounds amazing, Darren.
Just over 2 minutes left in this journey. It looks like Vernell has just gapped back to Johnny Makem. John goes racing for all the right reasons. His wife and daughter here today cheering him on. He couldn't have been prouder that the family was here supporting him today, and gets to go out and have a great afternoon of fun in the number 33. Bennett Signs, his business, works very, very hard at it, was charged with making all the Trico stickers at the last round. But our race leader, Phil Chester, looks to give him a short back and sides under brakes down into turn 1. So Phil Chester has lapped everyone up to P6. So the next car on the road that he will now grab will be his great mate, Paul Vernell.
The lights ablaze on that number 72 as well. He meant business. He was keen to let everyone know that he was getting past in a hurry. Speaking of trying to get past here, that's the number 19 of Chris Gidney, trying his best to get past Rodney Wells and the number 60 midget there. But these two have been hammering tongs all day. He just hasn't been able to get past. It's been a great defensive drive from the number 60.
It just goes to show an older car, let's say from the 60s, up against a car from the early 2000s. You prepare the car well and you can run with them. This car is, for all intents and purposes, in silhouette an MGB GT V8, and that's pretty much where the similarities end as far as the Winchester car goes. It's still got steel panels on it, but the LED headlights, which if you know MGBs at all, they used to have the Lucas Prince of Darkness as their choice of headlights. Those ones there on number 72 hardly look dark at all.
Yarra Valley towing on the bonnet of that number 72 machine with that beautiful...
How good does that sound?
Oh, it sounds incredible. It looks amazing as well. You talked about the livery at the start of the race here. It's just that bright pink just sticks out so nicely. It complements the blue. It gives a very strong, like a 90s vibe, I think, that bright hot pink on the livery. And it's something I love seeing on race cars.
So we're coming around now. Phil Chester, I would suggest, is going to get the last lap board as he comes to the line this time. And it is a magnificent piece of kit. Really does get prepared very well. And just listen to that tyres. They're just protesting with all that horsepower as he screams down the straight. Last lap board is displayed to Phil Chester, the Yarra Valley Towing multi-powered MGB GT V8 number 72. Down through the gearbox into turn number 1. His fastest lap was on lap number 5, so right smack bang on half race distance, a 1:03.349. He's gone well over a second faster than what he did in qualifying this afternoon. So anyone complaining that the track is not coming to them, Phil Chester is testament to the fact that, yeah, it is if you're running big slick tyres like he's running on this MGB GT V8.
It's fair to say that number 72 machine is absolutely braining them. But behind him, almost 3/4 of a minute, Michael Trathen is actually putting in a bit of work trying to hold off St John Cox here in the battle for second position. That has tightened up dramatically. We'll be able to take a look at that in just a moment. But for Phil Chester, he only has this one final corner to navigate before he makes his way onto the drag strip here at Calder Park, plants the foot all the way to the firewall, floors it to the line. He will greet the checkered flag to take race 1 of the MG and invited British sports cars round here at Calder Park for round 6 of the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships, which have been brought to us by Trico Windshield Wipers, who we can't thank enough for their support, helping us see clearly. And of course, 888 Home Loans, who have been with us on board for many, many years now, and it's been great to have their support. Here's that battle I was speaking about earlier. Number 1 on the side of that machine there with Michael Trathen. He's got the Triumph TR7 V8 of St John Cox bearing down on him, but I don't know if he's going to have a chance to get past here. Look at Michael Trathen doing his best to muscle this thing around the corners. Looks like a real driving machine. This just, it would be so much, a car like that with such a low profile, such a small bit of kit, you know, really, not that it's a Lotus, but sort of leaning to that same mindset of simplify and add lightness. And
That's exactly right.
you get that typical, that British lightweight racer.
And tune, drag every last 0.1 of a kilowatt out of that power plant. And, oh no, the 60 has gone round. That's Rod Wells. Hadn't taken the checkered flag yet either. So what that does is give Chris Gidney and Paul Vanel the free kick. As that car is now being recovered. Race is done.
Sure, what happened to that car? It's almost looked like he's pulled off deliberately, whether he'd had an issue running down the main straight for his last time around. It's very unfortunate to see the number 60 not coming to the line there after what was a great race for that car. You know, it's having a great show, battling there with, I believe it was Chris Gidney in the number 19 MGZR that he was scrapping with. So a shame to see him not finish the race there. Hopefully he can get that one back out on track tomorrow, because we will have race 2 of the MGs coming up not too late in the day. It's
So it
just
will be
after 12:05.
12:05. Midday.
Yes, midday. So you can look forward to more MG and invited British sports car action then, but we've got plenty of racing still to come today.
Matt Dunlop, thank you so much for jumping in at such late notice with the MG and invited British cars. We've got HQs up next, and we'll welcome the National Treasure to the microphone right next to me. Back in a moment.
Since being the first to make wipers over a century ago, Trico has protected drivers in all kinds of weather. Torrential downpours, gale force winds, wintry blasts, even when it's raining cats and dogs. Hey, who came up with that phrase anyway? Just imagine if it actually started... Alright. No matter what the conditions, Trico wipers maintain maximum windshield contact for safe, clear driving visibility, even in the harshest weather metaphors.
Welcome back trackside here for the final race of Saturday. We open the gates nice and bright and early for Sunday morning as we start our first race at 9:10. It'll be the Porsche 944s. But the HQs have got the honour of being the last race of the day here as part of round 6 of the 888 Home Loans Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships this weekend, brought to you by Trico windscreen wipers. A guy that would have fitted a couple of windscreen wipers in his time is right next to me, the national treasure himself, David Amor. HQs are on track. You're on the mic. How much 1990s are we?
Oh, mate, this is just unbelievable, Darren. Sorry about my voice, everyone. I've been talking that much. I've just about run out, but I will be fine for tomorrow. Mate, this is just bringing back memories. You know, like just having a look and being here and walking over and having a look at the old Thunderdome and things like that. We've got HQs back at Calder Park. Absolutely fantastic, and hopefully this is a kickstart to continue more racing back out here at Calder Park, the home of motorsports for Melbourne, I reckon it was. Mate, I got my licence here on the flat track. I got my licence on the Thunderdome. I've entered more HQs than anyone else in the history at Calder Park, and I'm up here commentating. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I am a very, very old person. Absolutely enjoying it, and can't wait to see what happens.
Well, how many sets of Trico windscreen wipers have you fitted, mate, over the years?
Oh, thousands and thousands, mate. Trico is the way to go.
Yep.
Trico gives you that good, clean sweep. And let's hopefully, Ryan Woods is looking for that good, clean sweep this weekend. Putting it on pole, race 1, 2 and 3.
Perfect segue. Ryan Woods on pole position. Andrew Magilton on the second spot there. Good to see Magilton on the front row of the grid. Rod Rajas, who's normally on the front row, back a spot. Warren Truan. Great to see Warren back in his HQ. He's had a great old time in his coupe HQ in TCM, etc. Then it's Graham Crawford to Ray Jardine, Stephen Banks, John Mahoney, Glenn McDonald in the Ready Red Roasts car. Then we've got Ben Riches. Back to Tracy Molden, James Kenner. It is going to be Rebecca Verhoeven. I hope she's fixed that miss that she had. She had a horrible miss earlier on in the year. And Mick Magilton. So we've got a Magilton at the front and we've got a Magilton at the back.
Yeah, the only reason why the old man is at the back, Mick Magilton, is he done a head gasket in qualifying. So he only done those 2 laps and came straight in. He's fixed it, so hopefully we'll see Mick come back through, probably around near John Mahoney there, somewhere around about 8th or 10th. But, mate, Rod Rogers in 3rd position. He's a second slower than Ryan Woods.
Yeah, we're going to see it all bust loose, though. Racing will sort them out. We look to the lights. Red lights on, nice hold, and away they go. Clutch take up, great shot off the back of the field. Everybody just moving off very, very nicely indeed. That shift from first to second, everyone done in unison, and then only the brave holding on for a little bit further revs as we look down to Ryan Woods, who will lead the field down. Car number 1 for a reason. Then we go back to the 14 of Magilton, Rod Rajas, the yellow wheels, the Knox panel outfit, and Warren Truan with that massively detailed graphic that he runs on all these cars.
Berryman is what that picture and that design of that animal is.
Yep.
Absolutely fantastic. Very, very big in America and overseas. Fairly small here in Victoria, Australia, so have to wait and see. But, mate, we can see Ray Jardine. There's the camera shot there. Rod Rogers. We've got Steve Banks, one of the fastest plumbers there is in HQ Holdens, as they all scream over that camera, mate. Hopefully the cameraman isn't hanging onto it.
He's pretty brave, isn't he, over there? Steve Banks actually didn't notice that, starting out of 7th place. There's a guy that is a regular front 2-row starter.
Yep.
Back in 7th place with a qualifying time of 1:16.7. Some 2 seconds behind our pole sitter, Ryan Woods. In fact, Ryan was the only one into the 1:14s. He was very, very clear, head and shoulders out in front, and he's giving it that way on lap number 1.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, when you have a look at this, you go and, oh, he's only done a 1:14 here. The lap record is a 1:08, ladies and gentlemen. That's when we ran Avgas back in 05. Bridgestone tyres, so there's been a massive difference between way back then to 2024 now. We've got a compression ratio, we've got a CC ratio, we use 98 fuel. We've got a head gasket that's only as good as, almost as good as what the ACLs used to be. They used to get made here in Melbourne. And we all know what the Australian government done there, which is very upsetting. Up over Mount Jane, mate, and through the flip-flop. I understand the track has changed shape a little bit through the flip-flop. So we're starting to look at totally different times for a totally different track.
I reckon what they've done on that bit of track there, it's clearly to slow them down at the bottom of the straight here because there's not a lot of runoff. But I reckon that's added 3/4 of a second the way they've got to back off and push the car.
Oh, at least I reckon, Darren. At least the guys are telling me you used to be able to eyeball it. Now you can't even see it. So you are physically turning right, left, right, or left, right, left.
Yeah, we
Or
used to
depends
just
which way you go.
pound across there, didn't we?
Yeah. We used to smack the curves, mate, and not have a problem. These curves are a bit bigger than your lips, mate, so they do hurt a bit.
They're fair. The ones around the top, coming onto the straight, big rounded off tops, like your tummy, Dave, over there. Like a couple of 44-gallon drums in the concrete.
Yep. See Warren Truan, and also that's the 68 car there, Andrew Williams at Crawford is driving. They're almost stuck side by side, mate. That's where they started into turn one for the first lap.
Oh, they're getting very willing here, and that is, we used to see here, the Pitman Trucks entry, Crawford at the wheel. This weekend shares that car with Andy Williams in some of the long distance races that HQs do around. There must be the Ken Lee coming up in the next couple of weeks or something, is there?
Well, mate, there certainly is. We've got the Dallas Crane, petrol trophy for this weekend, which is absolutely fitting because Dallas Crane used to race a lot of times over the back here on the Thunderdome. He actually donated a tail shaft and a crank for the little house over the back here. I'm just trying to think of the words. The church. The chapel. Church and everything else like that. So Dallas Crane is in our hearts and in our minds this weekend. But yes, we've got the 4-hour coming up. That's at Winton in December. And looking at it, there's 24, 26 cars we can work out that's coming. That's 2 drivers plus crew over 3 days, practice Friday. So there's a lot of egos. I tell you, mate, he's wearing those Kenders. He's wearing those Kenders out, Warren Truan. They're in the beautiful looking 77 as we spoke about it.
Have a look at Ray Jardine though. He's coming at them too. Gangbusters in car number 8. So Ray Jardine
68, mate, just went out wide. Here comes the plumber. Here comes the plumber, Steve Banks. Keep an eye on him, ladies and gentlemen. He's right behind Crawford. These guys were less than a second apart in qualifying. So as you can see, there's not anything there. 2 tenths. Jardine.
The Prem goes through the twin headlight front. Found the pace. Ray Jardine has absolutely given it to them. Started out of position number 8. Started out of 6. Dropped back a couple of spots. He's now going to find himself, I think he's about P4, isn't he?
Yes, 4th. 4th he is.
He's had a ripping last lap. There comes Warren Truan. He's retiring into pit lane.
Yeah, okay, it'll be interesting. I'll get that car going again for tomorrow. We've got race 2 in the morning and the final race, race 3, late in the afternoon. James Kenner is not out there, 66. It looks like he's done a piston, so he now has to rebuild that engine for the 4-hour now.
So when's the 4-hour?
It's the 6th and 7th, I think it is. It's the first weekend in December up at Winton. And like I said, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's the crew, there's 2 drivers, there's 2 hours on the Saturday, 2 hours on the Sunday, and 6 hours in between fixing them, changing them, putting new brake pads in them, servicing them and getting ready, putting new Trico wiper blades on, ready for the Sunday race.
Absolutely. Always got to have the new Tricos on. You don't want to be left with your pants down out on track without new wiper blades and it starts to rain, do you? You don't want to hit the switch and try and get them unglued from their stop position.
Yep, that is for sure. And back in the day with HQ Holdens, Trico was right there, with it, cleaning our screen. And have a look at Glenn McDonald. They done a head gasket as well in the Reddy Rose car. He's in 7th position at the moment.
Come across the line, 3 minutes left, and it's Ryan Woods that's giving them a bit of a hiding out in front at the moment. Andrew Magilton sticking with him. This is a massive challenge. In fact, this is where the action has been all race long. Crawford going around Jardine. It's the long way around. Bit of smoke out of the back of the Jardine car. Is that a telltale that something foul is starting to happen? Good one, sticking with it. Graham Crawford gets the job done. Now Ray Jardine's got the 76 of Steve Banks in his mirrors, and Banksy won't hang around. He'll get up through the Trico flip-flop. Watching Jardine car up on a couple of wheels there. They settle and land them. Banks pushing hard.
Yeah, it certainly is. It was good to see Jardine and Crawford actually gave themselves a little bit of racing room there. You know, side by side behind each other, through the flip-flop, over the top, over Mount Jane, and they never touched. Fantastic to see. That's good sportsmanship and good motor racing.
Tell you what, Ray Jardine now just giving ever such a slight gap there. There was no touching, but gee, they were very close. It's going to be close now, all line astern with each other. Three of them will start to close up. The HQ does tend to have quite a hole in the air to draw along down into turn one. Sometimes you can arrive there with 3 or 4 or 5 kilometres an hour faster than what you did the last lap because you're in the hole. As this run goes down the straight as well. Looking back at the 81 of Mahoney and Riches. Riches goes through in the 53. Beautiful move there by Ben Riches. Gets it done on the 81 and then understeers and then turns into a bit of power on oversteer. Great stuff by the Kiwi.
Yeah, those
you don't want to be napping, do you?
No, that's for sure. Get those Kenders absolutely screaming, the better suspension and all that is absolutely fantastic. Mick Pagilton, the 75 car, like I said, he's come up into 10th position, so Mick will be very, very happy with that. Richie's a Colac boy, got his own automotive business now in Colac, absolutely loves HQs, and he's very, very good slicing and dicing and putting stuff on Facebook.
That's what the kids do these days. They're good at that sort of stuff. Just interesting to note, looking at interrogating the timesheet a bit here, Dave. Rod Rogers is just running his own race there in 3rd position. No challenges in forward, no challenges from behind, just ticking off the boxes. In fact, he's having that much track time out there at the moment. He's setting personal best laps at the moment. So fastest lap by our race leader, Ryan Woods, done on lap number 4. We're currently on lap number 8.
Correct.
I think we've got one more.
Yep,
maybe
one more to go. It's time plus a lap.
Yeah, so possibly 2 more.
Yep. So it's absolutely fantastic. Ryan Woods is over on the back straight over the far side there. Into the hard, heavy braking right-hander, left-hander. As we can see, these guys go up over Mount Joe. Oh, here we go through the flip-flop. Bang, crunch, smack. As they go down past the back there.
We get a good look underneath the front of the Kiwis as they come past the Trico curb cam. 68 now of Crawford has got the pressure from Banks. Ray Jardine has just capitulated a little bit here later on in the race. Came on gangbusters at about lap 3. Stayed with them for 3 laps till about lap 6, and then these guys applied the blowtorch again. But sadly, Ray Jardine is not being able to take up the challenge anymore. In fact, there he is. He's a good 150 metres behind now. So our race leader on the last lap, Ryan Woods, car number 1. He's been an absolute sensation over the last couple of years as Ryan Woods, and full credit to them. They prepare the car brilliantly. This is the Crawford battle with Banks. Banks certainly looking to get well and truly established inside the 5 for race number 2 tomorrow, which, by the way, race number 2 for the HQs tomorrow starts at, it must be about 12:30. Yeah, 12:30 exactly for the HQs tomorrow, their first race. So a bit of a sleep in on the Sunday for the HQs, but I dare say there'll be a little bit of maintenance to be done to a couple of these cars. Here's car number 1 as McDonald in the ready
Rose
car comes in, 87. But here's our race leader for HSD, car number 1.
Checkered flag out, checkered flag is out. Greets a checkered flag, smack. 3.9 seconds in front of second, Andrew Magilton. Then we've got Rocket Rod as he's coming down the start-finish line there. You can see him out there. And then we've got the good tussle, you could say there, with Banks and also Crawford. Crawford beats Banks for 4th and 5th. So,
Well, sadly, Ray Jardine looks like he's about to start to fall into the clutches of Mahoney there. So he was battling it out with Crawford and Banks there for a better part of 3/4 of the race, but just seemed to lose a bit of pace towards the end.
yeah, he certainly has. Now, whether he's got an overheating issue or something like that, I'm not sure. But he's certainly gone off the pace. He's gone 2.5 seconds slower than what he was when he was in the battle with 4th and 5th. But we've got Woods, Magilton, Rogers, Crawford, Banks, Jardine. Just held out Mahoney by 0.2 of a second. Then we've got Mick Magilton. We've got the young kid from Colac, Richie, in the 73 car. Tracy Molden in the 7 car. That's the all-white car there. We've got 2 girls here this weekend over the start-finish line. And we also got Rebecca Van Haven, which is absolutely fantastic, Darren. But that's the HQs from Victoria. Lots of things happening with the HQs. Going towards the end of the year, but we've still got plenty of racing. We've also got Sandown on in November, the historics, so there'll be 20 plus HQs there as well, and a couple of interstaters are coming across, I understand. But there we have it, the top 10. Read them out, big boy.
Ryan Woods to Andrew Magilton, Rod Rogers, Graham Crawford home in a 4th place. Steve Banks to Ray Jardine, John Mahoney, Mick Magilton, Benjamin Richards and Tracy Molden rounds out our 10. Fastest lap to Ryan Woods, a 1:15.25. And that will see our HQs. And our final race for the day, big thanks to David Amor for joining us on the broadcast here this afternoon. Always good to have him there. Here is our broadcast schedule for tomorrow. We'll open it up. Gates will be open around 8:30 for you to come in and join us here. Absolutely, if you're watching us on the live streaming, we'd love to see your smiling faces here at the track. Damn cheap gate entry to get in here. Well worth the drive from Bendigo or Ballarat or Sale or whatever, Echuca, wherever you're coming from, or any one of the suburbs of Melbourne. You're only an hour away. Jump on the freeway. You're here at Calder Park. BMW's improved production, Formula V, Malakuta, of course. You probably want to leave Malakuta about now, but and get a bit of a nice sleep in Morwell or something on the way through for the night. XLs, then go to Sports Sedans, Saloon cars, MGs, and we do it all again with the HQs and roll it out right throughout the afternoon. A very big thank you to all of our volunteer officials trackside for coming out to Calder, and everybody's feeling pretty nostalgic about getting back here for the 2nd year in a row after a good 20 years away from the place. So thanks to our officials, thanks to all of our competitors who continue to support the fantastic Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships, 888 Home Loans, and of course Trico windshield wipers. A big thanks to the entire production team that puts the broadcast together, cameramen, the crew in the OB van downstairs, and the entire commentary team that have shown great commitment throughout today and all season long. I'm Darren Smith. We'll see you tomorrow morning.